traveling the Vortex.
Short and sweet, my baby's all mine. Head to feet, she's barely 4'9".
We've joined the Doctor as he travels the Vortex and landed at episode number 208. Short and sweet, unlike the three of us, we're doing book reviews of ebooks.
Sean just about did a spit take.
I'm Keith.
And I'm Glenn.
Yeah,
I'm Sean.
Did I make you choke?
I was almost short.
Unlike us.
Unlike us.
How are you guys?
Very well.
Very well.
You guys ready for Christmas?
Guess what's in 3 days? Christmas Eve. And then in 4 days
Okay.
is Christmas Day. It's like a build-up, like Christmas Eve.
Well, I am
You
doing
wake up
Christmas with
Christmas
my
Eve.
mother on Christmas Eve.
You wake
so.
up Christmas Eve morning and you go, oh, the big guy comes tonight. Oh.
It's more exciting for me because I have Christmas Eve off.
Guess
Oh,
what's,
yeah,
guess what's
yeah.
in 4 days?
Yeah, I have to work. What's in 4 days?
Easter Saturday.
Doctor Who will be
Doctor
returning. Yes. Yeah.
A one-night engagement.
It sounds so perfect. A one-night engagement. One night and one night only. What you guys do this week?
I tried to get into the Christmas spirit. I watched Scrooged.
Oh, I love that movie.
I don't think I've actually seen it.
That movie.
I wasn't as
Really?
impressed.
You'd never seen it?
I don't think I had.
You weren't impressed?
I wasn't overly impressed.
Oh, it's one of the best versions of the Christmas Carol.
It was a
'cause
good
it's
adaptation.
modernized.
It was a
Yeah.
good modernization. It wasn't as funny as I expected it to be. There were a lot of funny moments, but I didn't laugh as much as I
You
expected.
didn't watch the old. Okay, you didn't watch Scrooge. You watched Scrooged.
I watched
Okay.
Scrooge.
All right.
And there were several.
hilarious.
A lot of the stuff with Carol Kane was hilarious. She was probably my favorite part of the whole movie.
Here's the deal,
And
quite
I
honestly.
didn't realize the main woman was from Indiana Jones.
Karen Allen.
Yeah, I didn't know Karen Allen. I'm sorry, the name blanked on me. I did not know
Probably
she was
one
in
of
it.
the last major films she was in. I mean, until Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull.
When was Scrooge? When did that release?
88.
Yeah, I was going to say
I looked
88
it
or
up.
89.
When was Sandlot?
Oh, well, that was in the 90s. That was
Yeah, I
like
think that was after.
96-ish.
93, maybe.
Yeah, I
it
don't
was
think
later
it was.
than
I
that.
don't think it was 96.
I was
Anyway,
in elementary school in
All right,
96.
so
I would have been in middle
93.
school.
That's probably right then.
here's the
I
deal.
thought it was before or after I started working at Duncan's, which would have been in 95, 94, 93.
No, because I was at.
It was 93.
It had to have been 93 at least because I was at Suncoast when that one came out.
Okay.
Now that I think about it,
I just think it's
because I had that one on
You were
Laserdisc.
still at Suncoast when I started at Duncan's, so...
Yeah, not for
Oh,
very
you
long.
could've been. Well, no, that's true, because then you came over and worked for me.
I think with
You've
Scrooge,
worked
it's
with
a thing
everybody
of,
you know. You've worked
Pretty much.
with everybody,
Pretty
and it's usually at a video store. At some point, you've worked with everybody you know at a video store.
I'm kind of like
Almost.
that lychee amoeba that I gather friends and then force them to come work for me.
I've never worked for you, though.
No.
You worked for me.
I've worked for you. Well, you were the first.
Yeah, I guess.
But there's still time. Someday he's going to come to me and go, I just hate having my mornings free. The kids are in school now. I really don't know what to do with myself. And I was like, come work for me, Glenn.
It was I considered it this Christmas. I really did. I thought, he told me I could pretty much set my hours. He pretty much said I just basically had to greet people and help people find stuff. I didn't have to do much. And I thought, this is a great Christmas gig. Why don't I do this for a little bit of money? But I never got back with you on it. So maybe
late
next
now.
year, Sean.
No, there's still 3 days.
There's still 3 days.
The thing with Scrooged, the first time I saw it, when I went to the theater to see it, 100% agreed with your review.
I think it's Muppet Christmas Carol. Nothing can top that version of Christmas Carol for me.
I would agree with that, but I also would agree with what you just said. I think maybe the first time I saw it, I didn't think it was funny until I started repeat watching.
It's a repeat watching.
It's a repeat
yeah.
watch?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's you appreciate it a lot more the more you see it.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe next year I'll give it another shot.
the more cynical you get, the funnier it is.
Well,
And-
But I don't get cynical
me.
around Christmas.
Yeah, but you just enjoy. Oh, look, there's a Christmas, and you get all excited and giddy and
It's true. I can't deny it.
antlers. I have a great Scrooge story, which I cannot tell on mic, so you guys are going to have to remind me after we're done.
Staple the antlers to it.
No, I didn't stamp antlers
okay.
to it. But my sister did.
Ouch.
All right. Well, I watched Prep and Landing this week. Both shows.
Oh, yeah.
Have you guys seen those?
No.
Prep
they're
and Landing?
Prep and Landing. Oh, they're adorable.
They're two different shows.
No. Prep and Landing is the first one, and then Prep and Landing, Naughty versus Nice is the second special. They were ABC Disney specials that they started probably about 5, 6, maybe even 7 years ago. And the first one came out, and it ran on ABC every year, and then they made a sequel to it. And
Now both run on ABC every year.
yeah, now they're both on there every year.
It's not a regular series?
No, it's just two Christmas specials, and it's about these two elves.
I remember you talking about it.
I just
Wayne-
assumed it was a television show, and I thought, how long can you sustain a show about Christmas?
It's about two little elves, and
Because it's a Disney thing.
what is
so-
it? Shoot, the name was in my head until you distracted me. Lanny's the one elf, and Wayne and Lanny. And
Wait, their names aren't Prep and Landing?
No. Prep and Landing is what they do. What they are is they're elves, and they come and they prep the housetop for Santa. They have the Prep and Landing is like a whole squad of elves, but there's two particular that work on this one house for Timmy, and they go in and they prep the stockings and make sure everything's ready for Santa to come. So when he comes, he's in and out and gone, and they're an integral part of getting Santa to every house in all around the world, because he sends these basically advanced teams into each kid's house and preps the landing strip. And the idea is they go in and they it's really cool because they run up and they spray air into the stockings to make them kind of puff out, so that Santa always does put the things in there, and they check the cookies and make
I never
sure
thought
they're
about
okay.
spraying air into my stockings. That's a great idea.
One of the things that they have these little electronic readouts, and they do just basically everything. But they'll measure the tree to see if the present will fit under the tree. If it doesn't, then it has this little tool that comes up and trims the tree off the bottom of the tree off, so they can get whatever present they're getting. Anyway, Wayne believes that. Wayne believes that he's going to get that's how it starts. He believes after his, this year he's going to get a promotion, and they're going to move him to Naughty and Nice. And basically that's been his goal. Well, then he finds out they gave it to his previous partner, and so he's upset. And so then he's they go Christmas Eve, and he's going through the motions, and he's yeah, heck with it. And he goes and he watches TV while he has his new partner Lanny, who he's kind of training because it's his first job. And, Lanny's running around and he's all excited because it's his first job, and Wayne's watching TV, eating the cookies, and he's moping, and so what happens is Timmy wakes up. That's the boy whose house they're prepping, and Timmy wakes up and sees him, so they put him back to bed, and they find out that there's this big storm, and Santa can't land, and so they're going to have to do what was it called? There's a code word for, I think it's eggnog or something. I can't remember what it is, but if he's not going to be able to land, then because the house isn't prepped, then they have to skip over that kid, and so of course Wayne feels really guilty because it's his fault, and so
Fixes it.
I'm kind of spoiling this for you, but
you can
what?
stop
It's
there,
a
'cause
Christmas
this
movie,
sounds
so
really
it's
cute.
gonna
It
go
does sound really
well.
good.
Okay, I'll give you at least that much. The second one is called Naughty versus Nice, and what happens is one of the kids decides she's trying to get off the naughty list, and so the previous year, she ends up sabotaging the two coal elves, because coal elves go to the houses of the naughty kids and they put coal in the stocking. So Santa doesn't even come there. That's their job, is to put coal in the stocking. Well, she runs the two elves off.
Wow, that's the ultimate diss from Santa, isn't it?
Yeah.
I just kind of assumed that.
The kid runs the two elves off. She ends up with their little electronic device, and she's decided to hack into Santa's network so that she can change her to the naughty list. Well, unfortunately, when she does that, she overloads the system, and everybody gets put on the naughty list. That's all I'm going to say, because there's a nice little surprise as to they're not. Actually, we owned them, and I think we got them from the Xbox store several years ago. And then we went to look for them this year, and I couldn't access any stuff from my Microsoft store, so I was PO'd. So I ended up going ahead and buying them for iTunes, so I knew I had them forever because iTunes is awesome.
So I had to work that plug in there.
Anyway, so I bought them digitally. So we've always talked about buying the DVDs, and we almost did this year. And then I thought, you know what? It's just easier to have them digitally sitting out there in the cloud. I can get them whenever I want. So, yeah, that's what we did this week. One of the things we did this week.
Is that your major Christmas festivity?
Kind of. I mean, today we went to Winter Wonderland out at the lake. The big drive-through
the drive-through
Christmas
one.
display to benefit TARC.
We went to that last weekend. Audie was not impressed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad. My kids love it.
He liked the razzle dazzle glasses. So once we got, I think he didn't like waiting in line to get into it.
Oh, what night did you go on? It's like a Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh, so it was probably a really long.
so
See,
it
we
was
went
busy.
tonight. And it was we went right in.
Oh yeah. See, I think if we would have gotten right in with the glasses, he would have liked it the whole time. But then, yeah.
That wait's hard, especially on
and-
a 4 or 5 year old.
Yeah, and it had been a long day for him already. I guess so. Yeah. But they like Winter Wonderland.
They did. We've gone practically every year. I think we've missed a couple of years, but their favorite thing is they're already talking about the tunnels because you drive through these tunnels that are completely lit up, and of course they're
was
so
one
excited
that we
about the
went-
tunnels. They're looking for the tunnels that I think they miss half the displays.
Yeah.
But whatever. That's their thing.
We went to Kansas City to see the IMAX showing of Hobbit. That's what we did today.
What did you think?
It was good. I don't think we were charged extra for the IMAX because it was like we went to the high frame rate 3D version, so it was like already extra $3 or whatever. It wasn't an IMAX ratio.
Really?
Yeah, standard ratio.
Oh, I hope you didn't get charged full price then, because I'd have been upset if that. was
We were charged 20 or 13 something a piece, but it was not IMAX. Like we had trailers that were IMAX ratio, and this was not.
Oh, I'd have been disappointed. With
So
Back up a step.
maybe
You
if
saw
you
this
get
in
the
town?
3D version,
No.
you don't get
You
that.
went- Kansas City.
You went to Kansas City?
Yeah, we went to Kansas
and high
City.
frame rate and
High
the
frame
whole
rate,
shebang, and
yeah.
it wasn't IMAX
Maybe they
ratio.
can't do iframe or high frame rate in IMAX yet. Maybe they can't.
No, that's
project
how I
it.
saw the first two.
It was on an IMAX screen. It was nice and big, but it wasn't full. There was black bars.
You had kind of a letterboxing effect.
Yeah, kind of like when we saw the first half of Catching Fire. It's the exact same thing.
I think I'd have complained. Got
I
some money back
definitely
on
would
that.
have.
When I looked at the ticket, I was like, well, that's not that much more than normal. Huh. We only paid
Maybe you paid the 3D rate. You didn't pay the IMAX rate.
Maybe. But it was on an IMAX screen, because it was the same theater we went to saw both Hunger Games movies. Same exact room.
But you liked it.
Oh, yeah, it was good.
I saw it this week too. I went on opening day with a friend of ours at work. He was going, and I thought, you know what? They've got an 11 o'clock showing. This is an opportunity for me to be able to go to a movie
Did you go
after
see
work.
the 3D high frame
We
rate?
did not see the 3D version. We
I
saw the
really
standard
like the
2D.
high frame rate.
Was it
version.
good?
Yeah,
See, I still haven't seen it.
It's pretty impressive. And of course, the 3D, after about 30 minutes, my eyes adjust and I don't notice it anymore. Although these glasses, I don't know if it's because it was the high frame rate, you tilt your head too much. Like I tried to pop my neck a couple of times and it all went out of focus.
Probably has something to do with scan lines or something.
Yeah, it was. You could not move your head at all or rotate it or anything. You pretty much had to look straight on, and otherwise, it would look like you were wearing glasses.
It's my least favorite of the three films. I'll say
I
that
would
right
agree.
now.
I think one of the
It's
things
all
is
flash and very little substance.
there is little substance, and for me, there wasn't really anyone for me to root for.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, you know the plot. Thorin.
you kind
I
of know
don't-
how it's going to go too.
Yeah,
That's
and
the
I
problem
don't.
with this one.
I don't like. I didn't like Thorin for the first half of the film,
Well, you're not supposed to.
and so I had no one to root for besides for Bilbo.
Yeah. Well, in Gandalf, I mean,
Yeah.
he's out of it.
He's
for
off
a
doing
good
something
chunk.
else. Yeah.
Well,
Other-
he has to be rescued. So
Yeah.
we won't say any more than that.
Did you have the Star Wars trailer in front of it?
We did not get the Star
We
Wars
got the Star Wars trailer
in front of
and 3D.
it. Oh wow!
Okay, you know how before I was very excited about Jurassic Park
Yeah.
and optimistic about Star Wars?
Yeah.
Reverse it.
Oh, wow.
This made, I don't know if it was just seeing it on the big screen or seeing it in 3D that truly sold me on it. I'm down 100%.
I think that's
I
what
cannot
I'm
wait for
waiting
December.
for. Is I think I'm waiting for that.
On the screen, on the computer screen, maybe it's like,
not
that
the
could
same.
be a fan film.
yeah,
This is the real thing.
Well, I
Now.
think that's what it is. I think I have to suspend until I get into a theater in the dark, full of people, and big screen, and then the Falcon rumble hits me in the chest as it goes. Wow!
It didn't
that,
even-
that will be my
Spoilers.
my
It
moment.
didn't even take that far. The rolling ball droid, I was like, yes.
Huh.
And the 3D looked gorgeous.
Oh, good.
I heard somewhere that was a practical effect.
Maybe I'll
It
see
is,
it in
yeah.
The
3D.
rolling ball droid.
Maybe I'll see it in 3D.
I'm not a
tempted
proponent of
not to see
3D,
it in
and-
3D, so.
Jurassic Park in 3D too, and I'm like, I don't think I need to see that one in 3D. But I think I need to see Star Wars in 3D.
Well, we don't.
Well, I've always been a proponent of Star Wars in 3D.
Oh, it makes sense.
I mean, that's
Even-
they invented 3D for Star
Even,
Wars.
Quite
we had
frankly,
Jupiter Ascending in 3D too, and I'm like, I don't think I need to see that.
quite
in
frankly,
3D.
I love the episode 1 Phantom Menace in 3D. Now it was obviously converted to 3D, and so
Yeah.
you had some of that flat screen.
I didn't
look,
realize
but
he was filming it in 3D. Is he?
I don't know.
Or are they? If they
There might be
upconverted it,
enough. There might be enough computer generated effects in it that it didn't matter.
maybe I don't know.
Maybe all the computer stuff will look 3D, and then everybody else looks flat.
I wish they'd have taken more time with Phantom Menace.
I wish they
really
had
wish
rushed
they'd
it,
have.
but-
I wish they'd have hired James Cameron to come in
I
and say,
enjoyed
"Can
it.
you do a frame by frame up conversion like you did for Titanic?" Because Titanic looked phenomenal and Phantom Menace did not. But oh well.
I enjoyed it.
Hobbit was good.
Yeah, I thought The Hobbit was a good movie. It's my least favorite of all of them.
I think Smaug is my favorite.
Me too.
The middle part.
Me
yeah.
too.
Me 3, but I haven't seen. The
Although
third one yet.
I did like the first one a lot. I really liked overall the entire trilogy so far more than Lord of the Rings. And I've said before that I'm not a big Lord of the Rings fan. The movies did not impress me. So now I'm going to go watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy and see if I have a different perspective on it.
We should do a marathon where we watch the extended cuts of The Hobbit
we wanted to borrow
and The Hobbit 2 and The Hobbit 3.
See, I'm
and
thinking
Lord
of
the
going back and
Rings.
rewatching the Hobbit
It'll be
extended
like
cuts.
this epic Risk and Stratego weekend.
We'll just spend 3 weeks watching Lord of the Rings stuff.
I'm thinking for my rewatch of Lord of the Rings, I'm not going to do extended. I'm just going to watch the theatrical because at this point I've not seen any extended cuts of anything. And then when the last Hobbit extended cut comes out, then maybe go back and rewatch all of them in extended.
I like the extended cuts.
Although, I'll tell you, to be quite honest with you, now having seen all 3 Hobbit movies, I think that I still would prefer to watch them in the order that they've been presented as opposed to the chronological order per se, because I think it would kind of lose something because the special moments, as with I think how the prequels of Star Wars kind of, I think some of the special moments are these look back type things to the films, but look forward to what we can expect, and I kind of like that idea of the prologue after the main event.
After any of these movies, this is the one that I've walked away with the most questions. I guess I'm the only one. From Battle of Five Armies. I had more questions after this film than any of the others.
Are you going to present any of those questions?
I don't want to spoil anything. I want to wait till Sean sees. Well, okay.
I've read the book.
I don't know how much of this is from the book. Some of the questions are like, well, what's up with Kate Blanchett? I don't quite understand her character. Maybe because I don't remember her well enough from Lord of the Rings and her abilities. Is Sauron? He's the actual person, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
The wizard.
The wizard.
Christopher Lee.
Saruman the White.
Saruman.
Saruman, yeah. Saruman the White.
And shame on you, Tolkien, for giving us 2 villains with such similar names.
So confusing.
Yeah.
Has he been evil the entire time? Like in The Hobbit? Or is when we see him in this film after that event is that turns him evil? Or has he been working on behalf of Sauron the whole time?
I think that the Hobbit films started out implying that he was already on the path. By this one, I got the impression that the reason why he ends up becoming evil
Is
and
because of
Sauron
the events?
is because of leaving to go pursue.
See,
Sauron.
I think a lot of that wasn't clear enough for me, at least.
Okay, see,
Maybe,
I kind of got that out of this.
some of that could be also my not being as familiar with the quote-unquote original trilogy.
Yeah.
Although that's only used for Star Wars.
There's one trilogy. There's one Return of, and it ain't the King.
It's the Jedi.
So anyway, Sean, what'd you do this week?
Well, speaking of movies that needed a little trimming, I watched Das Boot,
Oh gosh, yeah.
which I'd never seen.
It's not near as epic as taking on Birth of a Nation, but yeah, it's
and it's apparently only available now in the restored extended director's cut, which includes 60 minutes of extra footage.
And it's all in German, right?
No, I watched it in English.
Oh, okay.
you
I mean,
don't have to watch it.
You don't have to watch it in German.
Is it
it's,
dubbed?
Yeah.
It was filmed German, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
it's a foreign film. But it's Wolfgang Peterson who directed Air Force One and In the Line of Fire and a bunch of other stuff that I liked. And it's just kind of one of those that I've always meant to see. And you know me, I like sub flicks, so it's like, all right, I'm going to watch a submarine movie. And it was good. It was really good. It was masterfully shot. It was a wonderful, everything you would want in a tight, claustrophobic submarine tin can movie.
It's one of James Cameron's favorite films.
And I can see why. There's definitely, shades of the abyss in that one. And man, I could have cut probably at least an hour out of that film. It just, I don't know. There were some nice moments that were like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. And then there were some other moments that were, oh, that's really tense. But there was a lot of it that was like, this just lays here and doesn't do anything.
I've seen them both, and I've always been a fan of Das Boot. But then when I saw the extended director's cut, I sat there and I thought, thankfully this was all cut, because
there's a reason it was on the floor.
It's not needed. It's not needed.
Yeah.
It's more visuals than anything. There's not much more substance to the story. You get what you need out of the original.
Yeah.
The edited version.
Yeah, it was. I felt like, having not seen the theatrical, I don't know, but I just felt like there was a lot of filler there. And did I talk about the Deep Sea Challenge last week?
No, you didn't.
I watched Deep Sea Challenge.
I saw it on Facebook.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
The Cameron documentary. Speaking of Cameron, and I've kind of spent the week underwater, where because you guys know I'm a Cameron fanboy, and he's a huge undersea exploration fanatic. In fact, that's why he decided to make Titanic, because the pure nuts and bolts of it is once he sold the idea to the studio, he knew they were going to foot the bill for him to go down on the dive to get the shots. So that was kind of how that started. But this was he got together and they had the same team that he's been using since Titanic to kind of go off and do these little dives, these deep dives that he's been part of. And he went to the bottom of Challenger Deep, which is in the Mariana Trench. And there have only ever been two guys that were testing some sort of military application sub. They basically put them in the sub and dropped it. And they made it to the bottom, and they kicked up such a huge dust cloud that they couldn't see anything. And they were there for 20 minutes, and then they had to head back up. And that was it. But they were the two guys that made it to the bottom. And so Cameron was bound to determine that he was going to go down there. So they built a submersible, and he's in a steel pod. Just a ball. He's just a gigantic ball bearing on the bottom of this gigantic torpedo that they dropped through the water, because they decided that instead of building a submarine that would sit horizontally, they were going to build a submarine that would sit vertically, because that way it would drop faster. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. And why spend all this time descending? I want to get to the bottom and do stuff. Right. And once he gets down there, it kind of maneuvers around and does little things, and they found new species of things, and they found like 26 new species of animals and plankton and stuff, and now the bottom, spoilers, it looks like every other undersea epic you've ever seen. It's flat and gray. It looks like the moon underwater. There's nothing exciting on the bottom of the ocean. But
we keep going back.
We keep going back, and I think we should. And it's just he's just an amazing. I have nothing but respect and admiration for this guy, because he's such a proponent of why not. And that's one of the things that just I get so excited over this stuff. And he said for years, we have the technology to go to Mars. Why aren't we going? And he's an explorer in residence at National Geographic, just because they've kind of said, yeah, you're going, so here, we'll publish anything you bring back. And he's like, okay. It was a cool little film. It was amazing to watch and kind of see that just, the mindset of, well, let's do it. Yeah. And the fact that they had to design cameras that would work under 37,000 feet of water. And he comments on the way down, 4,000 feet. He goes, that's the depth that Bud Brigman hit in the abyss. And he's not even a third of the way there yet. It's just like, oh man, you're really going to. So that was cool. I enjoyed that. That was my TV viewing this week. That was pretty much all I did on that front.
We didn't do much else. We got a ton of our Christmas shopping done. I think we've only got a couple more things to do, but this weekend was crazy out there.
Yeah,
man.
We were some of them out there shopping.
Stay away from Wanamaker
Luckily, we were
Topeka.
done too. Yeah.
Boy. Fortunately, actually, Holly went yesterday morning and just kept sending me text after text like, I can't believe I did this. I can't believe I did this. And then she said, okay, your turn. And in the afternoon I went, and it was bad. And then came home, and then by evening, actually, I took advantage of some of the late hours last night, because a lot of stores were open until like 11 and midnight and stuff. I actually had to go to Best Buy and get the kids' presents. They won't listen to this. I'm not going to say what they are, but Caitlin will know if she hears this. But we went to I went to Best Buy, and actually that was finally. I mean, it was still for 11 o'clock at night. It was still crazy busy, but it wasn't bad. Everybody's out there doing that last minute shopping.
We were
careful
at Best
out there.
Buy earlier in the day, and it was walked in, saw what we needed right away, went over to the cashier, and it was a long line still.
There's no browsing. You can't browse on a day like this weekend.
Yeah.
No.
We had to do a little bit of browsing, trying to figure out some things because we were trying to search things out of if we can find it or not,
Right.
and then ended up just ordering them online.
The last bit of shopping that I had to do this week was gift cards.
Nice.
I'm done. I am D1 with all of my
That's all
Christmas
we've got
shopping,
left is gift cards.
and so I knocked that out, which was pretty awesome. Now I still work on Wanamaker. That's a whole.
Have you
other
guys been
story.
really busy?
We've been really insane. In fact, yesterday, a busy day for us is usually around $7,000. We've already hit 10 and 12 a couple of times already this season, and yesterday they did 16 something.
Oh my! You
So-
were off yesterday. Then.
And I was off yesterday, which I
You
feel
were grateful.
Well, I actually feel really guilty about being off work because I wasn't supposed to be off Saturday.
Clearly, it was the
Oh, you
busiest
were?
day for them.
No,
So.
yeah, I was off Thursday, Friday, and not I was supposed to be there Saturday. And,
Mel's been recovering too. So
that's the other thing that we did this week is Mel had her surgery, and everything went well for the most part. The surgery itself was fine, and she's okay. The after effects have been a little rough, and
Was
trying
it
to
the
deal with.
painkillers? Was that what was causing
Honestly,
that?
we're still not sure. Because we thought maybe it was a mixture of this or that or the other thing, and I can't get a straight answer out of anybody. So of course I was going out of my gourd.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
I just she's less concerned with it than I am. She's just like, I'll deal with it. And I'm like, no, it's not everything. But yeah, we came home.
In that situation, you feel so helpless. So
Yeah,
finding an
but
answer is the only thing you can do.
And that's kind of how I've always been. I'm one of those guys that's like, you give me a problem, I'll go fix it.
Yeah.
Especially in a relationship. Is what's wrong? I want to fix it. And this isn't something I can fix. I just kind of have to be supportive, and I'm not good at that.
I tell you,
I'm
Holly
really
saw
not
your
good at that.
post about her not being able to keep anything down, and I said, "Well, what do you think it is?" And she says, "It could be this, and she named off like 10 things. And she said, "It's really hard to tell, and unless you eliminate those 10 things, you won't know." And she said, "I wouldn't be surprised if by the following day after that she's improved at least 20% and feeling better and keeping stuff down." And of course, Mel said that she was able to keeping toast down.
She's still not eating, which is the
Yeah.
problem. I think all she's had today is like a slice of
She's
toast.
so weak by doing that, but sometimes if you can't keep it, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, she said that, and I said, so no advice, and she says, well, I mean, I can give her the same advice anybody else can give her, but you'll never be able to narrow that down unless it's lingering. She said if after 3 days she hasn't been able to keep anything down, then that narrows the scope. But she said on a day after surgery, that's pretty typical.
Yeah, so we weren't sure if it was, the anesthesia or this or that, or like you said, those 10 different things. But yes, yesterday was pretty rough on me. I mean, I knew in the hospital it was just she's in the bed. I'm going to sit next to her. That's pretty much all there is.
Play with the iPad.
I got a whole bunch of Doctor Who Legacy unlocked. Let me tell you, Bob.
We'll talk about that.
But we'll talk about that in a little bit. But then coming home, it was just getting her up and walking her and making sure everything was okay, and then sitting down and exhausted, and we'll watch another hour of Das Boot. We'll get up and we'll walk some more. Sit down and watch another hour of Das Boot. Get up and walk some more. Another
Made
hour
her
of
watch
Das
Das Boot with you?
Well, I had to go back, so it was kind of like, I'm going to start this. You okay with that? Sure, I don't care.
She was probably so miserable she just didn't care.
She didn't care, and she wasn't. She was miserable after the fact too.
Well, I'm glad she's feeling better because that's tough.
Yeah. So, but she's slowly getting there, and I think today, like you said, probably maybe about 10-15% better than yesterday. So, and keeping stuff.
Luckily,
down
she has a
now.
long time to recover.
Yeah, she's got 3 weeks off. So. That means we probably won't be going to the Hobbit anytime soon. So.
I think that's
Unfortunately,
about all I did this week. I mean, just getting ready for Christmas.
I beat Arkham Origins.
Hey,
Finished the story at least.
Was it good?
It is pretty good. I mentioned last week or so that it reached a point where I wasn't sure if I liked where it went. I felt like that should have been the end, but then there was still like 30 more minutes or so of gameplay if you don't include Enigma stuff. So
no more side men, just straight plow.
Yeah, there was like 30 minutes. Well, and then I had all my equipment, so I could go do all the Enigma stuff, which is what I did. And then it was like, by the time I got back to the main story, it was like 30 to 40 minutes, maybe an hour, and then I was done. And it felt a little anticlimactic compared to what came before. So it was kind of one of those things. I have like one more mission left to do, which was a bunch of like 20 inmates escaped from Blackgate, so I got to go capture them. It ends tonally. It ends nicely because it kind of ends with Gordon trusting Batman and Bruce, and them wanting to reopen Arkham Asylum, which is kind of a nice little post-credits thing. But overall, it's a fun game. It's worth playing, but compared to the other two, not as good. Overall,
Just whet your appetite for Arkham Knight.
yeah.
Anything else?
I think so.
Let's move on to news.
News.
Boy, have we got some news for you.
Lots of news.
Lots of news.
Stephen Moffat let slip the title of the first episode of Series 9. The Magician's Apprentice.
Spoilers for anybody who didn't want to know that.
We've had a long standing of...
I tell you...
We don't consider titles spoilers.
I can't...
Yeah.
It's hard to get excited
Yeah,
about
I was
it.
going to say, I can't get excited
It's
about
a good
it.
Doctor Who
Number
title.
one, knowing it's so far off, I don't imagine we'll get it back on television until at least August.
Yeah.
And
Easter
the
Saturday.
title's kind of... Yeah, the title's sort of ambiguous, so we'll see.
I think it's going to be about a magician
And he has an apprentice.
with an apprentice. Which can
David Copperfield.
realistically, Mickey. It can only mean one thing. Mickey Mouse is going to be on Doctor Who.
That's the first thought that comes in my mind.
Strangely, it wasn't the first thought that came to my mind.
That's
Because that's the Sorcerer's
Yeah,
Apprentice.
it's true.
No, I'd have gotten all kinds of excited
That's
if
Nick
it was
Cage.
called The Sorcerer's.
The Sorcerer is Nick Cage.
No, that piece of junk shit. Actually, it wasn't that bad. but-
I actually haven't seen it.
It's-
as
You
much
haven't
as I like Jay Baruchel, I haven't seen it.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
All right.
It is in typical Nicolas Cage fashion, goofy fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looked like more of a goofy fun film than I would go in with very low expectations.
Despite how serious Nick takes himself. He's really sorcering there. And not so much.
Good on you, Nick.
Good on you, Nick.
What else is in the news?
Doctor Who Legacy has dropped some non-television companions
And so
And
have
not-
I.
Me too.
and non-comic companions.
Yay!
Finally got a big finish companion.
Yes, Charlotte Pollard
And how appropriate that we just finished
Yep.
that run, and
It was
then she
actually
shows
kind of
up.
satisfying to get her right after we had done, just on the
Yeah.
heels of our review of Girl Who Never Was.
I haven't played a lot with her yet, but
I haven't. I leveled her up to 11 so that I could get her star, but another star, because you get a star when you drop.
Yeah.
And I have all the perks unlocked that are not viable perks now, so I got everybody up high enough to have, I think it's 320 stars to unlock that final section in the perks, in the third tab of the perks, so perks 3. And then I think I talked about last week, I did purchase one of the S perks.
yeah, I think you did.
I think maybe I've purchased 2, I can't remember. Anyway, and so I have all of the characters. Get some feedback. Let me kill that.
Feedback.
No, not that kind of feedback.
Oh,
That's been a feedback.
I hear it now.
There it go. There it went away. All right. Yeah, somebody might have been getting a message or something. Anyway, so yeah, I've dropped everybody. I've got everybody you can possibly get. I did figure
You got
out.
Cinder?
I have Cinder. I did figure out the other day. Yeah, Cinder's our,
Which is the
our
other good-
one, which is really invigorated me to read Engines of War now.
Yeah,
so
that's-
let's get that on the schedule quickly, please, because I really want to read that now.
Okay.
That's that.
That's the War Doctor.
War Doctor
Yeah.
story.
I,
I didn't look at the schedule. Is it on there?
not for January.
Not for January. Oh, is that all you got?
we could do it for February if you wanted. We could do it
I'd love
maybe
to do it
the
for February.
galley week.
I'd love to do it for February.
Oh, yeah,
Because that way, if I don't get it read, if you guys aren't
We
going,
can review it.
you can review it, and
Yeah.
I'll try and read it on the plane. And
But I'm really intrigued about the
Yeah.
character just based on the drop, and of course we got the costumes day, so
Yes.
which is the same costume, just different pose, as far as I could tell. So
And they designed her based off the novel just for this. There is no other. This is the first image true of Cinder. Not on the cover.
And do you know who was involved in creation of said image?
Nicholas Briggs?
No. Brian Unga.
Brian Unga.
One of the guys that is co-owner with Paul Salamov of the TARDIS
Oh,
console.
well, that's neat.
Yeah, I think specifically the gun.
Yeah, I know who you're talking
The
about.
gun.
Oh,
is,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think specifically is his contribution to that, or the costume, something to that effect. But I was very pleased when I saw
I follow
that
the
news.
actress on Instagram. She does a lot of cosplay stuff.
Oh, is it
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's a...
She does a really good April O'Neil
Oh, cool.
from the cartoon series. Her name is blanking. I'm trying to
Went back
pull it up.
through. Went back to chapter 4 because I thought I'll play a couple of these levels again and realized that I thought I had everybody. I had not dropped Robin Hood, the Robin Hood proper, because I have the fan Robin Hood.
fan
but I
Robin
didn't
Hood,
have the proper. So I got him dropped yesterday, and then it occurred to me that they also in the Advent calendar after Astrid Perth came in one of our Advent calendars. You can now get her Pixelated costume in the Zygons one. So I went back and got her costume for that as well.
Huh. Oh, and we got Mickey too.
Oh, and I
How
dropped...
quick did that come after that
was,
reveal?
that was cool. That was really cool. I was all excited about that. I thought about Time Lord Ben's correspondence, and then you bringing up the fact that he had to...
Yes, I'm okay with this.
and I finished 2 more fan areas. I dropped 2 characters in 2 more, not fan areas, expert levels. So
Nice.
yeah, tough. They're tough. They're so tough. And I've played a bunch of them, but haven't.
Inspired by your story, I went and played an expert level. I don't remember which one it was now. And there were Sontaran Battlefleet cruisers, and I'm pounding on them, hanging on. We got my tank team in, hanging on by the skin of my teeth, and I beat one of them finally, and the character drops. Ding!
Oh, I
And
hate
it
that.
drops in the thing. And it's like, oh, sweet, but there's still one more
That's
thing
the
to go,
worst.
right? So I'm pounding on it. And now that I don't have both of them tag teaming me, it's like, okay. And I beat it. And I was like, yes, I'm done.
Wave
Another
one.
level.
Wave
1 of 3.
one of 3. You betcha.
Oh, I know. I've been there.
And it was just like, oh, and then I died. Like,
Who is the
real
drop
super
on that? Do you
quick.
remember?
I don't
I
even.
can't remember the
I think
titles of a lot
it
of
was the
them.
Matt Smith one.
Okay.
The Matt Smith expert.
No, I don't. That wasn't. No. Well,
No.
maybe it was. No, because I got the Matt Smith, and that was.
You didn't fight Sontaran
I don't
ships.
remember fighting Sontaran ships.
Yeah, I don't remember.
No,
but-
that's that one that it was Zygons, and they kept spawning the
Oh
Masters.
yeah.
No, actually, I got Amy. I got expert level Amy, and I got expert level Clara, whichever the names of those particular stories are or levels are.
Well, and then I died. So then I looked at Mel and I was like, should I spend some time crystals to keep going or not?
How far did you get?
Well, I died right at the beginning of the next
Of wave 2?
Of wave 2, and there's 3 levels.
I
and
wouldn't
she looked at me and said, "No." I said,
wouldn't
"Yeah."
suggest it.
So I'm just gonna. So I had to
Well,
let
they're
that character
100%
go.
drops if you beat the level.
They
right?
are 100% drops.
Yeah.
So
So-
if you, my suggestion is if you have the time crystal and you get to the end of nearer the end of
Yeah.
defeating one of
Yeah.
those, go ahead and pay for that character. That's the way I look at it. But
Yeah, one blast into wave 2 of 3 was not enough to get me to commit to that because I knew that, especially how hard wave 1 was. It was like, that's a rabbit hole I don't want to chase down.
But yeah, Charlie and Cinder. So we've got some new characters
exciting.
that are one from a book and one from Big Finish Audio. So that's exciting stuff.
I
I
kept
think the
going.
design for Charlie looks great.
Oh, it does.
How many have you dropped now? 100 or
All right, so I was just going to pull up, actually.
108? No, that's what I had.
No, I don't have 108.
I'm pretty
one.
sure I don't have 109.
I'm still in the double digits somewhere.
Probably in the 90s. Though.
But I was playing through. I was kind of alternating. Like I'd go in and play Advent Calendar, and then I'd go and play a handful of levels in chapter 3 or 5, whatever.
3.
Chapter 3, season 5. And then I go play a couple of Advent, and then I come back and play some more chapter 3, season 5.
Yep.
And I kept thinking, man, I got to be getting close to the end. And I kind of kept waiting for the transition over into Hunt for Greyhound 1. Didn't come, and it didn't come, and it didn't come, and then one of them mentions, "Oh, we got to go get help. We got to go get. We need a military mind to defeat an army." And I went, "Oh, I'm getting really close." And I kept playing and kept playing and kept
start.
playing, and I finally had to pull it up. And I went because I haven't touched Greyhound 1 because I knew, like I said, story wise, it comes at the end, and I didn't want to spoil anything.
Right.
So I went and pulled up Greyhound 1, and man, I'm already like apparently 6 or 7 levels into
Yeah,
Hunt for Greyhound
you're
1,
at the start.
but there
Yeah.
was no transition.
Yeah.
It just kind
No,
of
no.
flowed
You
right
just go
into
through
it.
it.
and kept
Because
going.
it all along has been a part of that story. And what they did is they just pulled out those ones and made them easier for people that wanted to go ahead and drop.
Now,
some
here's
of those
my
characters.
question
If you
then:
hadn't
does
progressed
it
that
still
far.
count as a separate? Because when I go to the Greyhound one proper and pull it up, only the first episode
Well,
is available.
Yeah, you won't unlock Greyhound 1 unless you play both.
But
That was another reason
I'm,
I went and
like I
played
said,
through.
7 or 8 in.
Nope, it
in
will
the-
not. You
in
have to
there.
go through. Now, the nice thing is when you go do Greyhound 1, you'll have beefed up enough that those are level 30. You have to have level 30 at least, and those will seem a lot easier, so you'll plow through those. The thing is, if you drop a character in Chapter 3, you will not find that character as a drop in Greyhound 1, because
Gotcha.
they're not two separate characters. So
I am 96 of 129 characters,
Wow.
so
there, you're not too far behind.
cropping up on you. And I unlocked the Whomobile I was so excited about, and some other thing, which of course Mel's been playing with forever. I'm like, how did you get it? I don't know. I just got it. It's okay.
I don't know. It just happened.
I don't know. It just happened. But so yeah, I was on quite the tear there for a while, and really, oh yeah, Legacy.
Well, some other game news.
Yeah.
Very fitting after our long Minecraft discussion last week. Wave 2 has come out for the skin packs. Yeah.
You already buy yours, Glenn?
I haven't bought them yet. We got on and looked at them finally
More than
Saturday.
50 new character skins.
Because you can actually scroll through them without purchasing yet.
Oh, that's
So, yeah, we
It
looked
even
through
has
them.
a gel guard.
Oh, what?
Have you looked at these?
I haven't looked at them. What's a gel guard?
From the 3 doctors.
The things that are...
Those big globs of
Attacking
gel that are
unit
attacking you
headquarters.
at HQ.
Oh, you mean the orange crinoids?
Yes, the orange color.
No, they're not quite.
Yes, they're.
No,
No, the
Axons
orange-
are-
Actually, the Axons
Axons
are the,
are
green,
orange-
are the
are
orange
orange
chron-
chrono.
chron-
I'm
chrono.
pretty sure they're both.
Now, the
orange
gel
chrono.
ones are kind of...
Oh, you're right. No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Because they've got the little bubble
Right.
eye things on them. Yeah. Okay.
They kind of look like the inside of a Dalek.
They do a little bit. A little bit.
They
A
were
little more blobby, but
Yeah, a
a
little
well,
more
that's- they were casting molds.
little more
and then
blobby
went,
and a little less tentacly.
Yeah.
hey, you know what? We just take the mold out and we'll use that as the next villain.
So there's also a Stephen Thorne pack, pretty much. You can get Omega, Azal. I think those are the only 2.
Yeah, because we decided you can't get Eldred.
Yeah. I haven't. Yeah, Eldred's not in here. Oh, Alpha Centauri,
Mikey?
K9,
No Alpha Centauri.
Mikey?
every single possible version of the Cybermen.
Yeah, which is cool.
You've got, let's see, where is it? Cybermen 2012, non-Cybus. Cybermen 2013, Cyber Lord, Cybermen 2006, Cybus version. Black Cybermen 1980s, Cybermen 1980s, Cybermen 1970s, Cybermen 1960s version 1, which is the cloth faces, and Cybermen version 60s version volume 2.
You may actually buy Minecraft.
Keith's a little excited over the Cybermen.
I'm excited about that.
The
Liz Shaw, Jamie McCrimmon.
Are there any doctors in this pack?
It has the 10th Doctor,
Yeah.
10th Doctor in a suit, 8th Doctor, 7th
It's
Doctor, 5th Doctor,
variations of
3rd
them.
Doctor.
Oh, that's right, there was a lot
Second
in there.
Doctor.
that's
So you
right, we
ate
did
Paul
that.
McGann.
Paul McGann and Cybermen. What more do you need?
No, you
and
didn't.
K9.
The
And Riddick.
we almost pulled
And
the trigger.
Stephen Thorne.
We almost pulled the trigger on it, and then we decided we're going to wait till after Christmas. It's only $3, but I mean, we thought we're going to be frugal now for the next week, and then after Christmas we'll probably pull the trigger and buy the skin pack. So they look good though. They look good.
It's in
Fantastic.
50 is impressive.
50
Yeah.
is
Because
an
the
impressive
last one was
skin
only
size.
like 20 or something.
Yeah, it was
if that.
real minimal.
And this is a lot of classic stuff.
Yeah,
which
I'm
excites me
most
more than
impressed with
anything.
the fact that there's so much classic in there. All right, moving on.
Moving on. Some guest announcements for area cons and elsewhere. Time Eddy has announced Ellis George for a guest. That's Courtney Woods, for those that don't know.
Right.
So,
Courtney the Troublemaker.
yes.
Did we know Naftali's coming? Did we announce that?
We did.
Okay.
Friend of the
I
show.
completely
Friend of the show,
forgot
Daphne.
about that. I saw her picture on there and I went, oh, I'd forgotten the Daphne was going to be there.
That was pretty early on. That
They've
was before
got quite the lineup for
yeah.
a first year.
Really impressive.
Well, when you're doing just a Doctor Who con, though, you really have to go big. So
Yeah.
Even just getting the Doctor the first year. I don't think Galley did they?
I don't think Galley did the first year that they were out.
I don't know.
It's kind of, they've had years since where they haven't
I
had.
wasn't
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, just-
It's before my time.
and then local Kansas City Con, Planet Comic Con, announced Karen Gillian. Yay! So that's 3 Who guests this year so far.
2.5.
2.5. Well, she showed up.
She showed up.
That's why I say she gets a half.
She had a whole episode before.
That's true. She
She
did get
showed
a
up
quiet dead.
twice.
She was there long before she was Gwen Cooper.
That's true. See?
She showed up
Gwyneth.
twice.
Yeah. Well, 3 times if you count the 2 Porter twice.
3 times if you count the 2
But then she's trapped there with Ianto in the pub, so
Doesn't get to do anything.
3
Till the
times on Doctor Who.
till the end.
Yeah.
So
That's exciting. Karen
Be-
Gillian.
be-
Yeah,
being
I'm
in
excited
3
to see.
episodes of Doctor Who pretty much puts you on Dorium. Right there.
True. He only had 3 also. Which is also... Karen...
no, Gordon's got 4.
Was it 4?
Oh no! I keep wanting to say whether Wedding of River Song was 2 stories, and it's
it's
not.
just one,
It was
just
only
one,
one.
yeah.
I keep thinking it was a 2-part.
Good Man Goes to War. He wasn't in Let's
No,
Go
he
Hitler,
was in
He was in Big Bang.
Big Bang. Yeah,
Big Bang, that's the other one.
Yeah. I was thinking that
Big Bang, Good Man
Or was it
Goes to War.
Pandorica Opens? Whichever... I think it was... Big
It was
Bang.
Pandorica. Yeah, because
Was it Pandorica?
that's when she goes and gets the
I know it happened
time-
before,
Yeah.
but I didn't know
She
if we
goes and
saw
gets
it
the time,
before.
She gets some time to manipulate
Yeah.
it from him.
manipulator. Yeah.
Yeah, so Pandorica and Good Man Goes to War and Wedding.
Yeah. So there you go. But yes, we're excited about Karen because that'll be really, really cool. Especially if we get to meet her.
I get to meet her again.
Yeah. Well, you get a little more substantial meeting
This
this
is true.
time.
Well, and there's a kind of a Guardians of the Galaxy presence now,
Yeah.
which is exciting.
Her.
Michael Rooker
Oh, Michael Rooker.
They announced Michael
Michael
Rooker,
Rooker.
Oh, I did know that.
and
yeah.
Sean Gunn,
Yeah, I did know that.
brother of
brother
director.
of- and
Yeah,
who
yeah.
Michael Rooker's sidekick.
And let's be honest now. I'm going to throw my Ian McKellen card out there from last year. So you've got Sean Gunn, who's the brother. You've got Michael Rooker, and you've got Karen Gillian. What are the odds James Gunn might just show up?
That'd be cool.
That'd be really cool.
He's going to be a little busy.
And you could bring Chris
Well,
Pratt.
I follow him on Instagram. He's not that busy.
He's not that busy. I think he's busy worried about what he's going to do for Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
He's
'Cause
relaxing.
If you listen to a lot of the interviews he's done recently, especially since we've got another circuit of interviews and stuff because Guardians
it
came out on Blu-ray a few weeks ago. He keeps alluding to the fact that he's losing sleep over what he's going to do with Guardians 2. That he has some ideas, but he's not sure he's going to pull them off.
Speaking
Well, maybe
of,
we can spread out the bad guy trifecta instead and get Lee Pace.
I'd be all right with that. I wouldn't have him sign for Guardians.
You know, Holly finally watched Guardians with us
Daisies.
on
Yeah.
Friday night, and
that her first viewing?
her first viewing, and she's always been skeptical about it, but kind of relaxed on the whole, being apprehensive about. I don't think this is something I'm going to like. When so many people liked it, it did so well. She thought, okay, maybe I will like it, and she did. She ended up enjoying it a lot, but I still sat there and watched this film this time, going, how can this film be so good and Slither be so bad? I don't understand
Slither isn't
this.
bad.
I
Because
don't
Slither isn't
understand
bad.
this. No, it's a terrible film.
If Slither had a different color palette, it would be Guardians of the Galaxy.
No.
If Slither wasn't a B horror movie, it would be Guardians
If you
of the
guys'
Galaxy.
minds weren't clouded by Nathan Fillion, then Slither would be a terrible movie. If Nathan Fillion wasn't in it, it would have been a bad movie. And I'll say that. It would have been a worse movie. He was the only redeeming quality of that
Well,
film
I think-
was Nathan
now,
I
Fillion.
don't know if I
hang
would
on.
ever say Slither was a good film.
Hang on.
It's in the vein of Toxic Avenger good.
No, it's much better than Toxic Avenger.
Well, yeah, better.
But-
But,
See, I think it's incomparable because it's not that campy and it's not that B.
but
if
that's
Nathan-
what he's trying to do.
If Nathan Fillion wasn't in Slither, would it
That's what
be
he
a
did
worse
before.
film? Yes. If you replaced Nathan Fillion with, I don't know, Eric Roberts, yeah, it's going to be a worse
You
film.
replace Nathan Fillion, period, it's going to be a worse anything.
That's a given. But that's kind of like, well, what if we listen to this audio and Paul McGann wasn't in it? Well, yes, I established that Nathan Fillion's the best thing in the movie. Come on.
And he does not
He's
make
had
super
roles
great.
that are so much better. Yeah,
He doesn't make Super Great, which is James
I
Gunn's
haven't seen Super yet,
follow-up.
so I
I haven't seen Super yet
It's
either.
not as good.
Should we move on to feedback?
I got two. Let me finish up with the news first, and then
sorry.
we'll go back to James Gunn. So the one more set of
Finish
guests.
up
We are
James
not
Gunn.
going back to James Gunn.
No, we're going to go back to James Gunn. One more set of guests. Galley. I don't remember if we talked about this or not. They announced Alex Kingston.
Oh, yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's been a couple of weeks. So
We
that's
didn't-
right,
we didn't
say
talk
anything
about
I don't
it,
think we
yeah.
didn't talk about it. I think it was just last week.
I stopped paying attention.
and
And
then
then
I-
before we recorded, because I remember
Yeah,
thinking, we need to mention it on the show.
I don't think we did. And then a couple more, I don't want to say minor, but kind of behind the scenes people, including Rachel, how do we decide her name was pronounced? Talalay, who just directed
That's pretty cool.
the Cyberman two-parter
Yeah.
at the end of season 8. And I didn't realize also directed Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare and Tank Girl.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I knew she'd think
Big directing presence coming to Galley, which is kind of cool. You know what we didn't talk about in the news?
We're still in the news.
Oh, good. Well, because yeah, you're right. We are. We haven't moved on yet. Good. So we didn't talk about North Korea.
And what we did this week?
And yeah, that whole mess.
That should have been what we did this week. We all went, Sony, facepalm.
Facepalm. Big facepalm to Sony. A, for negotiating, and B, for... I mean, it's a lose-lose situation for them.
really
I
is.
get that. Because if they didn't cancel it, everybody'd be mad at them for placing the almighty dollar ahead of the theater patrons and blah, blah, blah. And they would have looked like bad guys. And so they canceled it. And now everybody's like, oh, you're commanding, you're giving into the terrorists and blah, blah, blah. Now, what upsets me is that, like, Alamo Drafthouse and a couple of places decided that they were going to show Team America.
Yeah.
And then Paramount pulled the plug
Yeah.
on that and said, no. It's like, really? Come on.
Now we're getting a little ridiculous.
This is just too much.
I
So,
question some of the reports that come out because why would Sony have some of that information? I wonder how many people are just making
Some
up
of what
crap.
information?
Well, like something about a Marvel film that doesn't have anything to do with Sony. I saw from a Sony leaked email. I was like, that doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, number one, they're always
Like,
in talks with other studios, so that could...
But it's not like a Spider-Man related thing. It was like, I don't remember who. I don't remember now. I just saw several stories that are like, why is that?
Well, I take a
linked
lot
to
of that with
Sony?
a grain of salt anyway, because, again,
I
as I
try to
talked about
avoid
last
most of
week
them.
of the idea phase of things, and you can't get excited in
Yeah.
the idea phase of anything. A lot of stuff that probably came out of Sony was way in the idea phase.
oh, by the way, did you mention the Doctor Who theme park's already built in London and it's done?
It's not. But let me. Can I jump on that real quick
Yeah,
since you
jump
brought
on
it up? I did listen to, or I did watch Adipose TV this week, which Sue Cummings, Lee Cummings, and I forgive me, I forget the man's name, but their liaison with the BBC that gets all of the licensing through and helps them with that.
He shall be named
did
Bob.
Bring up the fact that is a real deal, and it is beyond the idea phase. But it is, as we alluded to last week, Paramount is building a theme park in the UK, and this is a proposed land that is already the writing is on the paper. It's already been signed. So
it's
this
Doctor
will.
Who's not
This
getting
is
its
not
own
a
theme
Doctor Who
park,
theme
no.
park. This is a Paramount theme park
Yeah.
with, in the same vein as Harry Potter is a small piece of Universal Studios theme park. This will be the
I don't
same
know if you'd say
idea.
small, but all right.
Now
is a park.
now that it's in two parks, but it's small. Trust me, I've been there. But it's being its own, part of the grand theme park. That's the idea here, is that there'll be a Doctor Who land. Actually, it's more of a BBC land, so the Doctor Who part of it probably will be even smaller than the Harry Potter park is to Universal,
Yeah, 'cause it's
because
gonna
they're also
include
talking about
Sherlock,
including
yeah.
Sherlock. But some of the BBC titles have already been signed off as part of the experience within this theme park.
Was the
so
movie Paramount?
No.
I'm backing
Fox.
off a little bit.
No,
more.
Universal.
I'm backing off a little bit more of. I'm siding now on the side that this sounds like this is more of a done deal. It's just not as grand as I think that article purported.
No,
Yeah,
the
no.
articles are in the headlines.
Well,
are
what'll be awesome is
blowing it
that,
up.
the only part of the theme park will just be the TARDIS. That'll be it. And everybody will be disappointed. But if you actually go inside, it's bigger on the
whole nother
inside.
park, yeah.
There's a whole other park. So the reason I brought... and Mel, I must give her some credit for this one because I think there's some credence here. The email hack and all the Sony information is a horrible, horrible thing that's going on with them. I can't help but wonder, and she said this, it almost feels like this bit with the interview portion of that they're not releasing the film, feels like them trying to spin off of a bad situation. Like, we're already being dragged through the mud. Let's create an event film and try. And she almost, and I can almost see it. The whole, we're not going to release this, and it's because of this, and blah blah blah, and the email hackers are doing all this kind of stuff. That's all made up, and it's just a publicity stunt to push the interview. And it's like, I could almost see that
if they hadn't if they hadn't pulled the interview,
that's dangerous. That's dangerous,
I agree.
Dangerous territory to get into, and to pull a stunt like that just on the basis of publicity, because that really puts the almighty dollar up in front of safety and security and duping the public.
Especially
It's
considering
ridiculous.
the movie was already controversial to begin with.
Yeah.
Well, and it was, I mean, let's be honest. Who among us was really jonesing to go out and see this thing? I wasn't.
The thing is, this
but now it's the number one talked about film in the world.
Money
I'm still not going to watch it.
Most films, because of this basically publicity.
Yeah.
Any publicity is good publicity.
Now, the reason I went to that story is so that we could go back to James Gunn. Did you see the photo? You talked about him not doing anything. Did you see the photo he posted this week? It was this little scratch pad. It was Guardians of the Galaxy 2 ideas. Who is Quill's father? And he had all these names on his list. Darth Vader and so-and-so, Thanos. And then one of them was Kim Jong-un, and he crossed it. I went, nope. That's the funniest thing.
Yeah, I did see that.
I died because I had been devouring story after story after story about the Sony thing in the interview, and I couldn't believe that it had gotten to this level, because I wasn't following that like you guys probably were. I got that all in one info dump in one night.
Yeah. We, at least being in the news, have gotten a progression of the story unfolding,
and it was like, what is the deal here? And it was just one after another. It's getting worse, and getting more crazy and more insane. And then James Gunn. And it was like, dude, you are awesome.
Yeah.
all right. So
That's when I stopped reading. That's when I was the capstone. I'm done.
Can't go any further.
Feedback. First up, Ben sent in some feedback.
Let's give it a lit.
It's not audio.
Not this week.
He says, the podcast that never was. Hello, fellow travelers of the Vortex. Rather than drone on in my chipmunk-like voice, I decided to make you guys do the work this week.
Type voice. Is he saying his voice sounds like a chipmunk?
That's what he's saying.
Oh.
I'm not
didn't
saying
think
that.
So.
Ben is saying that. And I agree with Glenn. I don't think so. And read for me.
Could we put a chipmunk filter on Keith?
Yeah, we can.
So that we can really illustrate to Ben.
We had a chipmunk filter on you last week, apparently. I apologize. Remember when I told you we had a little glitch and we had to kind of start and edit real quick? Well, that actually came across, and so I apologize to anybody that was listening to our podcast last week. And, I don't know, about an hour and 10 minutes in, it started going... and then we were in like echo mode for a little while, so I apologize. We had a little bit of a technical gaffe, but I left it in, so because you were saying important stuff, probably.
Just in a chipmunk voice. Just in chipmunk voice?
No, it chipmunked for about half a second, and then went into echo mode. So
You don't have any.
we echoed for a
anymore?
good minute, but
Really?
yeah,
You're not funning me. We actually had a technical
we
glitch.
actually had a technical glitch in the middle of the show that I left in
Okay.
because apparently you were saying something important.
Oh, good. The fireplace is back.
Oh, good. The first one must have ended.
It ended. I was concerned.
Look, those logs are generated. There's even a yellow glow.
No one knows what we're talking about. Keep going.
I had noted, based on the last podcast, in order to help keep my thought at least semi-coherent. Wouldn't you know it, I lost them. I suppose they're adrift in E-space somewhere. Perhaps a backblast will blow them back to me. For now, I shall try and wing it.
Either that, or some backwards mathematical genius is going to find these notes and base an entire civilization upon them. It will be meaningless to all of us when they rise to glory, until you manage to cross back over into the E-space vacuum and discover what you have wrought. I hope you're happy.
First up, thanks for the early shout-out in episode 207. Unfortunately, it was not me who you were speaking about... Who were speaking about Legacy. I imagine I sprang to mind due to all the codes I came across lately and tweeted to you all. I personally tried the game and became quickly bored with it.
So now I can't remember who it was that tipped me off to try that expert level that I managed to beat.
Blasphemy, I know. Maybe I'll give it another go here soon.
You need to give it another go. And yes, that was blasphemous.
On to movies. I, too, am a fan of the museum flicks. I've enjoyed them so far. I'm looking forward to the third installment. I was surprised not to hear anyone mention Robin Williams, though. Even before his tragic death, he was my favorite bit of the movies. It will be sad to see him in the newest one, knowing we no longer have him around to make us laugh.
I think that was why we didn't talk about it. I think maybe subconsciously we were just staying away from it.
I absolutely adore Robin Williams, but I don't think he was my favorite part of the film. He's a wonderful, warm character in the first film, and a very integral part of the storyline. He's quite removed in the second movie.
Yeah, he's there just for being there.
It's more of a cameo in a way. But I hate to say this because, again, I idolize Robin Williams, and I think he's such a talented man. But in these films, he was a very Robin Williams like character. So I've kind of drawn.
Isn't he supposed to be like Teddy Roosevelt?
Yeah, he is Teddy Roosevelt. Well, he's a mannequin of Teddy Roosevelt. Yeah. But I've drawn very tiresome of him doing those roles, especially since he broke out and did things like, well, even this was a little more Robin Williams, but doing Dead Poets Society and then Good Will Hunting and then
Awakenings
and what was the 1 Hour Photo, and so when he really started doing things were outside the realm of being Robin Williams in a film, he just blew me away. And so this almost to me is, I'm not putting down his performance as Teddy Roosevelt because it was wonderful. It was quite enjoyable, and it made the film enjoyable, but it's kind of a backslide as far as characters go. So he didn't stick out to me, I guess I should say. He was a wonderful, warm character that I fell in love with as part of the film as a whole, but he wasn't a standout. So that's probably why I didn't mention it. But it is also on the heels of a tragedy that, unfortunately, we will not get anymore. Our last film that we will see with Robin Williams, from what I understand, will be Night at the Museum, Seeker of the Tomb.
I thought there was one that...
There's one where he's playing the voice of Simon Pegg's dog.
Great.
I kid you not. And
that'll be a different show again. It's a different role for him.
Well, I imagine it'll be more of the same, honestly, but
Yeah.
I don't care.
Well, no, he's never played a dog before.
Simon Pegg and Robin Williams? Okay.
Yeah, that's a good combination.
Shut up and take my money.
Is that absolutely anything?
Sure.
Dennis' voice, I'm assuming. Yep, that's the last one.
The standout character of the Night at the Museum is the Easter Island head.
Yeah.
That's, this means nothing to Keith.
Nothing.
Hey, dum-dum, you give me gum-gum.
Dum-dum from my gum-gum.
Ben goes on to say, a special thanks goes to you fellows for placing me on the show for the last couple of weeks. Without beating a dead horse, it's safe to say that Chicago TARDIS was a lot of fun. I related only a portion of what we experienced. To do it justice would have required much more time. Further thanks goes to those who took a moment to tell me how much they enjoyed my reviews. Now, I have a bone to pick with Keith, I believe. Actually, Ben, it's a bone to pick with Sean.
It is a bone to pick with me.
Clearly, you, sir, did not heed my advice and check out both my Twitter and Facebook pics, nor did I go and look at Chicago TARDIS's Facebook pics. Had you done so, you would have seen the Hall of Daleks along with the special weapon Daleks. You, sir, have failed this fandom, said in a Stephen Amell's voice. I probably did not do it justice. You, sir, have failed this fandom.
There you go.
That's creepy. Is that what Arrow sounds like?
When he uses his voice modulator, yes.
He has a Batman voice.
It's a Batman voice.
I'm Batman.
It's not, but it's better because it's a voice modulator doing it instead of Bruce Wayne just making a gruff voice.
I really like how Flash does it.
I'm Bat Dad.
Can I have some gum? Are you going to swallow it? Yes. Then no.
I've attached some of my picks to this, but encourage everyone to check out both my picks and Chicago TARDIS's picks to see everything. I'll wrap this up. I'd like to say that I'm too excited for the Christmas special, and I only hope that Santa doesn't give Clara Danny back as her gift. He needs to be R.I.P. That's all for now. Later, guys.
Yeah.
And he
Well,
posed
we're
with
gonna
the special weapon.
Yeah, we have a picture that we will post on our website.
And, yes, sir.
You apologize.
I have failed the fandom. My only defense was school, which I know I won't be able to use forever. But at the time that the initial report came in over Thanksgiving, it was right before finals, and I was like, "Oh, cool! He posted pictures," and that was really as far as I went with it. So I'm suitably chastised because the special weapons Dalek picture is awesome.
It is awesome.
As is your picture with Camille, Billy, and I blank Mickey.
Yeah, that one was good.
That was a good
I like
yes.
the inside the Dalek one. That is a cool.
Yeah. I like in the background of the special weapons. There's a guy's head and one of the Daleks sticking out. Did you see that?
Oh, bother! I just lost it. Hold on.
Who's next?
Up next.
I just said I lost it. Hold on, and you're going to immediately rush into
Nobody
the next.
that's listening to this can see the picture, so they can go
They
there
can because it'll be
themselves.
posted.
Yeah, but they can.
But
go
I'm
there
not in
themselves.
my Gmail anymore.
Who's next?
And I'm supposed
Robert.
to read the next one.
Robert is next.
And now you have to wait because it's not loading yet.
Robert writes.
You're just going all out of order, Glenn.
Yes.
I'm going to get you back for this someday.
I put my
Collins was gonna read
application.
Collins.
I put my application for an artist table at Planet Comic Con this morning. Fingers crossed. We'd be excited if you able to get one because we'll be able to see you. I like the idea of Beyond the Doctor. Funny you mentioned Carry On Sergeant. It ran last Saturday on Turner Classic Movies. Another Carry On film is running right now, so I'm guessing TCM is playing the series on Saturdays for the next few weeks. Well, that's good to know. We could have watched it and got it out of the way already.
But it's not January.
That's true. But it would be fresh enough in our mind.
Yeah.
So
We'd have watched other stuff between now and then.
if I may, I'd like to offer a few suggestions for the other Doctors. Troughton, he was a priest in the original Omen film. He also appeared in one of the 1970s Sinbad films, though not the one with Tom Baker.
That would have been epic.
Would have been epic. 2 Doctors, 1 film. Tom Baker. You might think of the other Sinbad film, but also consider Nicholas and Alexandra. I think that's the title, because it's the one that Baker played Rasputin. We actually talked about that as well. So, Davison. Don't know any film that he was in off the top of my head. Of course, there's All Creatures Great and Small. He played the cow that wanted you to eat him in the TV version of Hitchhiker's Guide. Yeah, that's true. He was also in the two-part episode of Magnum P.I. that was set in the UK. I did not know that.
I did not know that.
Oh, very cool.
I didn't know they had one set in the UK.
Well, apparently.
Well, you can only film palm trees from so many different angles before viewership gets bored.
Okay.
Colin Baker. All I can think of him before he became the Doctor was his role in a 3rd season of Blake's 7 as the terrorist Bayban the Butcher. Might be hard to find, but a good episode. There you go. Put that on the list there, Sean, because that was one of the ones we were having the most difficulty with.
Bayban the Butcher.
McCoy. Did you know he's in a Peter Jackson film? I
Three,
did not know
actually.
that. I did not
The
know
Frighteners.
that one. The Frighteners.
That thing that was behind the wallpaper and then under the stairs.
That was him, huh?
It was on the strength of that performance that Stephen Moffat cast him as one of the shrouded Zygons in the 50th anniversary.
It's a good performance.
Oscar worthy.
Eccleston. He was a bad guy in Elizabeth. Daniel Craig also appeared in that film. Capaldi. After all these years, I still think the role that he played in Local Hero, think of the role that he played in
Like
Local
the
Hero.
role.
Yeah, whatever. After all these years, I still like the role he played in Local Hero, but that's just me. I hope everyone has a happy holiday season. Robert. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, Robert. I'm glad you're excited about the Beyond the Doctor. We're pretty jazzed about it ourselves. Of course, it's one of those, as with many of our ideas, that germinates easily and maybe not grow into anything. First one's easy. Then it gets hard.
I really enjoyed the 5 minutes he was in that film.
But we'll see what we can do.
Up next in feedback is Phil.
Do I get to read this one now?
Go right
Are
ahead.
you sure you're not going to jump
Actually, it
ahead?
should be my turn.
I'm just trying to avoid all of the editing I'm going to have to do on this episode this week.
No editing.
You don't think so, huh?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, you left the technical glitches in. I mean, come on.
Apparently you were saying something important.
I'm always saying something important, Glenn. Phil writes, comment, question, comment. A silent walks into a bar holding a memory worm in his hand. I forget the rest of the joke. Phil, it's never getting old. you just keep riding that horse, man. We'll keep whipping it. Hey ho, hoopekins. Early Merry Christmas to you all. Things have been crazy busy in the Odd Duck house, so sorry for the long time no feedback. Got a lot to tangent about. So, 1. Actual Doctor Who... Well, you can't start with actual Doctor Who stuff, Phil.
That's not how we do things around here.
The heck, man. Actual Doctor Who stuff. So, Danny's dead. Where does that leave Orson Pink from Listen?
You guys act surprised. Didn't I bring that up? I thought
No,
I talked about it because I
did
thought
see-
about it when it happened.
The Claridox?
Yeah, no. Not that
Moffat
movie.
has addressed the issue.
I thought
don't remember
Moffat
how,
was
but-
kind of wussy on his
He was
addressing
kind
of
of
the
a-
issue,
yeah, it
quite
was kind
honestly.
of
I don't think I saw that.
Just because that strand of Danny is gone, there could be another branch of his family that could lead to that ancestor still. Something along those lines.
If that's the case, then it really waters down the importance of the trinket in the story.
Yeah, well, the Claire would seek them out and give
Right.
that to him as his hand-me-down, knowing that it was important.
There was all of
Exactly.
that.
It really waters that down. So.
But I find that, excuse me, watered down, which my throat was at the moment. The one I like is the fan theory that Claire's already pregnant. That to me is a cool
Which was
idea.
my saving grace until I just read this week that that's not necessarily going to be revealed. That Moffat's not going that direction.
Yeah.
So it again waters down the.
Well, we don't have to see it. The doctor could come and visit her 9 months later, and she's got a sitter.
Or it could just not even be addressed, and we assume she's pregnant, and that's what happens.
Unless she gets killed in the further adventures of the
Which
series.
leads to one of my most irritating things about a show or anything that does when they just say, "Here, you presume this." Especially when you build something around something like the trinket and the lineage and hinting to that kind of thing, and then you drop it. That's a little too Stephen Moffat for me.
RTD?
No,
it's
RTD
Stephen
wrapped everything up.
Minecraft. Glenn is going to get a lot new Minecraft players killed with his stories. You dug straight up? Are you mad? Never dig straight up or down, as you never know where a lava block might be hiding. Oh, and this is probably old. I was working overnights again and dug up older podcasts to pass the night. But prior to the addition of pumpkin pie, you could also use pumpkins to make golems.
Yeah. Golems. The problem. Let me address the golems first. The problem with golems is, unless you need something to generate snow, they're really kind of pointless. I mean, they're cool the first time you build them. You've got this thing running around.
Is it made of poo?
No, it's made of no.
Sorry, went
It's
dog
made of
butt.
snow. You stack
Pumpkins to make snow?
one snow block, right? I can't remember now. It's been so long since I built a golem.
You put the pumpkin on top of his head.
Yeah, you put
as
a pumpkin on
the face.
top, and then it becomes a snow golem. And the idea is that he actually is a snowman that wanders around, but he's got a pumpkin over his head. And in fact, you can see the snow golem's actual face. I don't know if anybody knows this, but if you kind of walk into the snow golem, you can glitch between the pumpkin mask and the golem, and you can actually see a snowman face behind that. So you might try that.
But he wanders around and leaves a snow trail wherever he touches.
And unless you're needing to generate, like you want a snow, because there's no other way to generate snow other than to go into a snow biome and have rainfall and become snow instead, and then you have to use a shovel in order to harvest snow. A lot of people they want to continue to generate within a survival world. In order to generate snow, if you don't want to keep going to the snow biome to get the snow, you can create a snow golem, and he'll leave snow trails, and then you can just harvest your snow from there. So to make your whatever materials you need to build out of snow. So the snow
Like an
golem,
igloo.
Snow golems, they're kind of.
Won't that melt eventually?
I don't care that much about snow golems, so I had forgotten about that. But I do want to address the digging up thing because I was a little too casual about that. Phil, to be clear, I don't dig straight up ever. I staircase up is what I do, and always dig up in front of me so that if lava comes pouring down, I have enough time to back up. However, I did not give the warning to newer Minecraft players. Never dig straight up. Phil is absolutely correct here.
or straight down.
Yeah, no, don't have. Well, the straight downs it could be
How
worse
can you
because
dig up?
you.
Well, if you're in a cave and you're digging the ceiling.
Won't that fall on you?
No, the only thing that will
breaks
fall
it,
on
little
you
breaks that you
is
pick up.
sand. Only sand drops, sand
Or
blocks
gravel.
fall, or gravel blocks fall.
Question the integrity of this game. Now.
Well, when
You have to play
if
it.
you're digging up, huge chunks of whatever
Well-
was there should fall on you.
because if you're a Minecraft player, you understand that as soon as you mine a block, it becomes something that you can gather. It becomes a small block that goes into your inventory. So you really, things are falling. You're just collecting them, and they go into your inventory. So dirt blocks go into your inventory.
It's becoming a small
The
thing.
first
Yeah.
gravel block will go into your inventory, but the rest of the gravel blocks above it are what fall and kill you, basically. Suffocate
like-
you. Because they all fall at that point. Because they have sand and gravel have to be on a solid block that does not fall. So if they are not stacked on a solid block, they will continue to fall.
So if
until
you're
they find
underneath it,
You know, I probably know more about this game and never played it.
Lakes,
Phil is absolutely correct.
Lakes are fun too. If you accidentally wind up underneath a body of water and you dig up, and all of a sudden, tink, boom, and
The
water
nice thing
comes
is
flooding into
if
your
it's not
cave.
a very deep lake, you can go swim on up to the surface, but you might
Assuming you
drown
made
by
a
the
big
time
enough
you
hole?
get there. So no, you can go up through one block hole.
Oh,
So
okay.
you
Yeah, you're only 1 block wide.
What if you ate too many pumpkins?
too much
Too much pumpkin pie, and you became 2 blocks.
That was a long time ago because pumpkin pie's been in the game for a while now.
Okay.
Yeah, that must have been an old one.
Number 2 again. Lost. Mrs. Odd Duck and I have been watching more Lost. We're deep in the heart of Season 3, and I have to ask, what exactly was the point of Nikki and Pablo?
They were as with Juliet, as with the others. You run out of characters, and so you try to inject new blood into the show and bring in new characters. Unfortunately, and luckily, they realized Nikki and Paolo did not work, and nobody liked them.
Well, he's probably also referring to the one-off story where they did all that backstory for them. It was filler.
Well,
That was what that one story was
well,
for.
and
they,
that
they
was-
killed them off by giving us a filler episode and trying to make them relevant backwards.
and because they realized nobody liked them.
Yeah, well, that's true. Too.
Because it was about the time that they would have gotten to writing that episode that the backlash of, who are these people? We don't like them. They suck. And so they killed them off.
Filler.
Hopefully, Phil, you haven't you knew they died.
Spoilers.
Well, he did
It's
say
lost. Assume
This is
everyone
what
died.
was.
Hey,
the
what
point.
was the
Yeah.
point? So I'm gonna hope
gonna
that that's
assume-
You'll come not in the same way, which quite frankly, I think the Nikki and Paulo episode was the best way ever to say we're done with these characters. We're going to go out with a bang.
We screwed up.
We're going to
we
go out with a bang.
apologize,
That, I
and,
love
yeah.
that episode because even though it is
which ones were Nikki
filler,
and Paulo?
Xerxes? The guy who was
Yeah, I know
Xerxes.
who. Okay, but what did they do?
They stole diamonds.
Nothing
With Billy
until-
D. Williams.
They were the ones that stole the diamonds.
Nothing
Okay.
until that episode, and then we realized they had been. they
were
had
annoying.
stolen
Well,
diamonds, and they were.
They show up in
They didn't
the beginning of
trust each other.
season 3 in the background, and they're like, "Yes, we're here now, and we're talking." And we're like, "You're background people. You don't talk
Well,
unless
that,
you're arts and you blow up."
as season 1 progressed, I kept looking at all the people wandering around on the beach, moving laundry piles from one side of the beach to the other, and then back, because there's nothing else as a background character on Lost to do than move laundry from one side of the beach to the other. And I kept looking at all these people, and I'm counting down. We've lost so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. There's an awful lot of background characters still wandering around aimlessly on this beach. When are you going to start killing some of these people?
This was kind of them bringing it up. Them and Froger.
And again, I love that episode because of the fact that it's so different and,
It is.
and it's funny
Yeah.
too.
It is a good
it's
episode.
darkly
It's
funny,
an
but it's
enjoyable
funny.
episode, actually.
And
I
so
didn't like
I
them until that.
appreciated why they did that. Yeah, me too. I was like, I was the same way. I was like, what are the point of these two characters? Are we going to get their story eventually? Yeah, we got their story.
And their story was pretty
one
lame.
episode.
And then we never have to deal with them again. And it was a good Hurley episode, too, actually.
It was a good early episode because they
if-
were able to use Hurley.
He was the heart
Yeah,
of the
yeah, I
episode,
agree.
which made it
Hurley was the
worthwhile.
heart of the whole show.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
true.
That's true.
Thought of you today. We got in the complete Lost
you did.
little pyramid with the statue and the hatch
Oh,
with the
it's
light
used?
up. Yeah. It's still expensive,
The
but it's
full
all
box set of all
it's
the
full box
DVDs?
set and the full box set, all 6 seasons.
Can I come in and just drool on it?
Sure.
Because I haven't been able to look at like the other material that was in it.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Well, I don't know how much of the other material is actually still in it, but because it's got little compartments and everything inside, and flashlights and ankh and all kinds of other stuff. Number 3, finally, TV in general. Watch the crossover and mid-season finales of Arrow and Flash. To quote Glenn, so good. So good. Also just finished the series finale of Legend of Korra. Wow. Between Korra and the original 3 seasons of Avatar, that's easily the best 7 seasons of animation I've ever seen.
I've seen so much response on that this week that I've actually decided I'm going to go back and watch all of the seasons of Avatar and Korra.
Phil has me talked into it. I just haven't got to it yet.
Yeah, I don't know when I'll do
I've
it,
been
but
thinking about it, too.
I'm convinced to do it now.
Number 4, Terry Pratchett, finishing up Hogfather for the umpteenth million time. It's a Christmas tradition. Heard what Sean said about the jokes you can see from a mile off, and, well, yeah, he does that. I like that he does that, actually. As much time as he devotes to writing about narrative causality, it would be hypocritical of him to ignore it, wouldn't it? And Phil told me this on the phone, and I have to give him, that's kind of Pratchett's thing. So I have to allow him to the joke there. Number 5, Star Wars teaser. I'm cautiously optimistic. Not sure what to make of the soccer ball, or football, if you prefer, with the R2-D2 bobblehead, but the Falcon and X-Wings gave me chills. As for the lightsaber, I get that I should be excited. I was all excited when I first saw Maul's dual saber, but I wasn't this time. At what point did we just look at a lightsaber and think it needed something more to make it cool? It's a lightsaber! It's already cool! Is Episode 8 going to feature something with 4 blades? Clearly, I'm getting old.
You know, I think just seeing a red blade would have excited me enough. Because, in theory, there shouldn't be any Sith now.
Correct.
So, they're back. Oh, crap. That would be enough. I don't need the little...
You kind of spoiled that for me with the title. The Force Awakens.
Well, I don't
well.
I don't know what kind of force that is.
It's not gravity.
Are we talking midi-chlorian force? Are we talking mystical force?
Oh, we better
Are
not.
we talking light side, dark side? I don't
Old
know.
trilogy?
The Schwartz Awakens. Did you see that? That somebody cut... They took existing footage from Spaceballs and cut it together as if it was the trailer from Force Awakens, had the same beats and the music and everything to it, and Spaceballs, the Schwartz Awakens to it. It was the greatest thing I'd seen.
I haven't seen it yet.
All week. It was very cool. That's it for me, hoping I can get Last Christmas, I Gave You My Heart watched and feedback written prior to your next podcast. If not, I'm sure it was good and answered all of the questions I had at the end of Death in Heaven. On Touch Film. P.S. Sean went out and bought Christmas lights on Black Friday. You'll never find what you're looking for that late in the season. If you want C9s, the big bulbs with the ceramic coating, and or you want them all a particular color, you have to go right when the stores start setting up the Christmas section, or get them online.
So in July.
Shopping for shopping for decorations on Black Friday. That's like shopping for Christmas gifts the weekend before Christmas. Wait, what weekend is this? Oh, son of a...
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, Phil.
Just to clarify, Phil, I did not go out shopping on Black Friday. I want to make that
He sent
perfectly
his
clear.
minions.
No, they went of their own accord and screwed it up, and then I had to go the day after and correct it. But yes, so I do not go
He
out
went
on
on
Black
Gray
Friday.
Saturday.
I went on Gray Saturday.
Not to be confused with Super Saturday, which was yesterday. Up next is Holly. Holly writes, "Hey guys, the Beasts of Babylon. The Ninth Doctor meets up with a girl named Allie who seems to know quite a bit about the Time Lords and the TARDIS. Love the ending of the story where Allie actually encourages the Doctor to go back and ask Rose to travel with him. I like that Allie told him that girls are a lot tougher than they look, and Allie also realized that the Doctor shouldn't travel alone by himself. Very cool that this was also set during the same time period as the Rose episode. Though I have to admit it, I was shaking my head when the dragon egg was mentioned. This was my second reading of this book, and this book came out way before Kill the Moon. I quickly read the passage and moved on to the rest of the book. Also, liked the fact that the Doctor understood Allie and what was going on and didn't punish her for what she had done. That it was part of her nature, and she did what she did was in order to protect him."
It's a valid point.
Yeah, it is a very valid point. The Mystery of the Cottage. Another story with Martha. The Doctor and Martha getting trapped in a children's mystery series of books, and the Doctor's not too thrilled with the series or the author who wrote them. I think that he doesn't like the fact that they are predictable. But in this case, I would rather have the predictable to get out of the situation that they are in instead of the unpredictable. Love the nod to the mind robber in this book. Nothing O'Clock. Neil Gaiman's entry into this book series, and I have to say I enjoyed it. The kin are a very interesting race, to say the least, and that they were the last of their kind, just like the Doctor. Not the slightest bit of a 10th Doctor vibe when the 11th Doctor takes the kin to the moment before time even started. Kind of reminiscent of what Tin did to the family of Blood. That's a good point.
Yep.
Lights Out. Quick little romp. We now know where the Doctor went to get Clara her coffee. 51 was an interesting companion. Just like Avi, the Doctor gives him a chance and is even a little nervous about what 51 wants to do near the end of the story. All in all, I have to say these were some very good ebook stories for the 50th. Looking forward to hearing everyone's thoughts on these ebooks and wishing everyone a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Holly from Wisconsin.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you, Holly.
And our last bit of feedback this week comes from Chrissy.
Who writes, short and sweet. Although, she wrote a pretty lengthy email here. Maybe not.
The email is not short and sweet.
Dear Vortex Boys, have you guys gotten in trouble for using the Doctor Who theme on the podcast? Or are y'all just expanding your catalog of music that you've included in your recordings? Or did Glenn go on a shopping spree on iTunes and he's trying to show off? It's just that it's been a while since I heard your regular theme, and I'm nosy about why. That's all. The answer is all of the above, Chrissy.
Yes. So our next Patreon pledge.
This brings up an interesting point, so we're going to jump into the Patreon stuff now. If you'd like to help pay off our legal fees to the BBC for using the Doctor Who theme, you can certainly pledge your support, and it would be greatly appreciated, and it'll go a long way towards securing a Robert Shapiro-style lawyer who will be able to get us out of the pickle that we have gotten ourselves into.
Yeah, so
I'm making that up.
no, the real answer behind that is the iTunes shopping spree, because I keep getting these iTunes cards because it's this time of year, where people are giving gifts, and I'm downloading all kinds of wonderfully new stuff, and I just wanted to show it off to everybody. That's not true either. No, what it's boiled down to is the fact that we haven't found anybody that's made a Peter Capaldi 8-bit version yet, so it feels kind of strange to have Matt's theme playing at the front of our podcast when we've had the 12th Doctor for, a good
Several
4 months now.
Yeah.
Well, that, and eventually we fear that you guys are sitting out there listening to it, and the podcast starts, and you're in your car. All of a sudden, you jump up and start yelling, "Bored! Bored! Bored!" So this is our way.
This is how we keep you guessing.
Keeping you guessing and keeping you interested. But if anybody out there would like to tackle an 8-bit Capaldi theme, we would love to have it.
What title could we give them? Composer?
Traveling the Vortex Composer.
It's up for grabs.
It comes with a shiny plaque. Not really.
A digital plaque.
Ooh.
We'll give you a digital plaque.
We'll give you a digital plaque.
Absolutely.
A little placard that you can hang in your digital office next to the "You Want It When" sign. I was reading. Sorry.
Yes.
So yeah, that's why that is.
That's the long answer.
That's the long
to the
answer.
short question.
Not so sweet. First of all, yay! You got the Mara stories on the schedule. I knew you'd be excited, Chrissy. Those are some of my favorites, and hopefully I will be about to join in on those weeks for Friday Night Who. My past few Friday nights haven't been very conducive to staying up late. Plus, my computer is really showing its age, so I'm trying not to use it unless I absolutely have to. Why are you writing this email, then? Or maybe you're doing that on phone. Does it say phone at the bottom of the email?
It does not say I was...
It does not. Well, thank you for sacrificing your computer time here, Chrissy. Well, I've gotten all these ebook short stories to read, so I'm going to dive into my reviews. The Beast of Babylon. Oh, she's got them all read, not to read. That's how would you review it before you... Yeah.
Wibbly wobbly, Sean.
Maybe she stops writing her feedback, goes and reads a book, then submits feedback for that book, then she stops, and then she goes and reads a book, then she comes back and submits her piece of feedback.
She's doing that Willy Wonka teacher thing again. So we're going to take the test before we've studied it. Beast of Babylon. Points for finding the tiniest of openings for a nice Doctor story that doesn't involve Rose. However, I'm not sure I enjoyed this as much because it wasn't a Nine Rose story. I don't know, it's weird to have Nine with a different companion. And I kept forgetting that Allie wasn't a humanoid companion, although that could have been because I have a sister named Allison and her nickname is Allie, and that kind of colored my perception of the character. That's something I have to deal with, though. I did enjoy the Babylonian setting. Reminded me of a Big Finish audio play with the first Doctor that takes place in ancient Babylon that I really liked, called Farewell Great Macedon. Highly recommended. That's all I've got for this one. Should I tackle that now, or would you wait till we get to reviews?
What are you tackling?
The Alley. Being wait till reviews? Okay. Sounds like a common thread then. Okay. The Mystery of the Haunted Cottage. Bomb, 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 bomb. I added that. That was
Okay.
When you say it out loud, it pretty much, you have to say that now. As short as all these stories are, this is the only one that felt like two halves to a whole. The first felt very much like an homage to Scooby-Doo. See, I'm not crazy. Even Martha and the Doctor kind of allude to that, even though it's not Scooby-Doo, but something else that isn't copyrighted. But after they discover it's really the alien that's combining all these different stories and things together to create one big galaxy, it turns into something reminiscent of Miyazaki's Spirited Away. At least it did for me. Wouldn't that be an interesting combination? Doctor Who meets that guy. Studio Ghibli. Anyway, off subject. This was a fun one to read, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. What?
I just like the noise you made when you messed the word up and you went, like you ate it. You're like, oh yeah.
It's gone.
That's gone. I've eaten.
I've eaten the word. Nothing o'clock. Anyone else get the lodger from this? Aliens invading people's houses in the most ordinary ways. They want to buy the planet one real estate listing at a time. Having worked in the real estate industry before, I got a kick out of that. The only thing I could think of to find wrong with this is how often Amy wanted Rory. She sounded like a young child whining for a favorite toy. And I think this is supposed to be Series 5 Amy, before she and Rory got married, and probably early on in her character arc. Aside from that, yet another fun one to read. Lights out.
Oh, we will address this part. Anyone get the lodger from this? Nope.
Nope.
One. I hadn't even thought of it until you brought it up.
I didn't either. Lights out. This was likely written well before anything from Series 8 had aired, so I went into this willing to forgive anything that seemed out of place from the 12th Doctor, since Holly Black probably hadn't seen much of anything to get a feel for how this Doctor's supposed to be. There was a mention of imposing eyebrows, and that's about it. But I think she got around that very well by having this told in a first-person point of view and making the Doctor a stranger to 51. I've read some of Holly Black's books before, and she writes a lot of first-person. So much so that sometimes you miss vital details about the character that's speaking. They only talk about what they see and hear, and not a whole lot about themselves. Or if there are details about themselves, they're very sporadic and piecemeal, so you don't get a full picture of this character. 51 was a lot like that. The story was more about what was going on in this intergalactic coffee shop, which is an interesting place for villains to hatch evil schemes, but whatever. And that's about all I have to say about this one. It was kind of abrupt and vague, but I could follow it well enough, I think. That's all I've got. I hope you all have a Merry Christmas, and I'm glad to hear that my Christmas card made it. I couldn't remember if the address I had from before or was from before or after Sean moved, so I sent it out and hoped for the best. Stay safe and happy, and I'll see you all later. Take care, Chrissy.
Thank you, Chrissy.
2 quick mentions, if I may. Brittany, thank you for pledging support to our Patreon page. She's now a supporting member. And I got a Christmas card, I don't know about you guys, from Brittany this year. So
Yes,
okay.
I did.
So good. I'm glad you did, because I felt, I'm sorry, guys.
You
Apparently
didn't
I'm
bring
the
it
favorite.
to open.
No, we got Christmas cards from Brittany this year, and thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Brittany.
Thank you, Brittany.
Very, very kind of you. And happy holidays to you.
Shall we move on to our reviews?
And if you'd like to send Christmas cards, you can send them to me. If you have a complaint, you can send it to Glenn.
If you have candy, you can send it to me.
I didn't know candy was an option. I kind of feel like I settled now.
Too late. Dibs.
Call it.
Okay.
Let's see if you want the sticky bun after I lick it.
The Beast of Babylon.
Oh, going in order, are we?
Yes.
Well, that makes no sense.
That's not how we do things on this podcast.
Do you even listen to this show?
Nope, just recorded. When a girl called Allie pockets a silver orb that falls from the sky, little does she realize it's her ticket to seeing the universe. Desperate to retrieve the mysterious object, the Ninth Doctor agrees to let her join him on a dangerous trip to ancient Babylon. Together they must join forces to stop a giant starman from destroying Earth before it's too late.
Dun, dun, dun.
It was okay.
Yeah, it was okay.
Enjoyable story.
I like the framing of it, and unlike Chrissy, I kind of enjoyed that it wasn't a Rose story.
I was a little relieved myself
It was
because
I would have been okay with a 9 in
Yeah, I
Rose
would
because I
too.
shipped those two anyways. But it was kind of refreshing,
Yeah.
and the way she did it was so clever.
well, it's not something you get because of the
Yeah.
way that Series 1 is Series 1 is structured. So, I agree. I thought it was a very clever.
Well,
way
and we started it,
set
and Rose wasn't there. I thought, oh, this is before he met Rose, and then he starts talking about her. I'm like, wait, how is this going to work? And then
I thought the same thing.
and then I figured it out, and that's really clever.
Yeah. Well, they don't really drop that seed until later because they do. They
Yeah.
talk about her, and you're like, when did he leave her at any time
I kind of
that he could have done
realized
this
it.
adventure?
Once he started talking about her, I kind of realized, oh, this is set in that split
Well,
second.
in that point, she's talking about having just defeated the Autons.
Yeah, and that
leaving.
point, yeah. And I liked Allie as a character. I don't know about you guys, but I thought she was human,
I did the same.
or at least humanoid to begin with.
I
And
did
it
the
wasn't
same.
until later. I think she did a really good job. If you were meant to believe that this is just some girl,
Well-
and then later she kind of gives you the nuggets of, oh wait, no, this is kind of an insectoid person.
I think she gradually gets there because early on she talks about, and I can't remember what she called, but some of her appendages that she had. She talked about it early on. They make reference to it when they first arrive in Babylon and they open the door,
Yeah.
and he goes outside,
'Cause she
and
did
then
the stinger thingy
right,
or
exactly.
whatever,
And
yeah.
so I still think I had an idea that she was humanoid, but just she had special.
Well, and
It wasn't until that moment when they discussed her antenna doing something that I
Yes.
went, whoa, wait.
Yeah.
She's not human?
Yeah, I did the same thing.
Which,
because
I,
at the beginning
not
she
that I
was-
have a problem with that. That's actually fairly
Well,
awesome. We were one of the
It
people that would
starts
say,
out
we
with
weren't
her and her
alien.
family out having a picnic
It
in the
felt
woods,
very-
and this guy wanders by. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
it felt very...
and then you discover that she knows about, and they're on about Time Lords, and they're on a different planet. So obviously she's not human proper,
Right.
well, she could have been human
future,
from future.
yeah, or something.
You know, but
colonized.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, again, not that I have a problem with it. And I felt
It's
that...
really clever.
It is really clever, especially when you get to the end, because she makes the comment about wanting to go swimming but not.
Yep.
And then you don't find out until the end that, well, it's because the lake is full of, eggs
Children.
and
Yeah.
monsters or
Right,
whatever.
you can't disturb them.
And so it's like, okay, that was kind of cool. But I still felt like I would have liked a little more character fill out initially, so I didn't have that jarring, what? Because then I had to mentally switch gears into, okay, she looks like this now. Go on with the story. I just...
See, I like the slow reveal.
I did too. I think just because it was clever and different, and you rarely see anybody or read anybody do something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like most authors really feel like, I'm going to flesh this character out, and I'm going to let you know so you don't have to deal with the idea of, I'm going to switch the imagery on you later.
Yeah, well,
And so
I don't
it was
need,
a
like,
pleasant surprise.
he stood 6'4", had blue eyes, gray hair, blah. I don't need all that jazz. I would have liked
Why
to...
do you put that on your stories?
Because he does. 6 foot tall with gray hair.
That's how it works.
They're always steely blue eyes, too. Did you notice
Steely.
that? He had a steely gaze about him.
I had sort of hoped that they would delve into the Babylon story more and talk about how they were building a tower and they were, they just
Yeah,
got a
it
little
could've
more
been-
into that.
I agree. The Babylon part kind of felt shortchanged.
I see. It's almost like we picked a cool name and location, but we didn't really kind of delve into any of the biblical history of it. And
Yeah.
I think maybe that was calculated that we
Possibly.
sort of
Not
stayed
to
away
offend
from some of that.
anybody.
As not as to offend anybody.
Well, and again, we're dealing with 40-some-odd pages.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true.
The
Setting up a
Starman
new character and the Starman idea.
was pretty neat, and it felt almost something. It felt, I don't know about you guys, but it conjured up the image of season 1 of Torchwood, the end. That big creature there,
Yeah.
something similar.
yeah, I could see
so
that,
it
yeah.
it kind of felt right for the era too.
Yeah, I would agree.
Big and bombastic.
Something very RTD.
Yeah, exactly.
And I didn't have a problem with the Starman. I thought it was,
It was a clever idea.
yeah.
The magic ball to get rid of it is kind of okay. We need a simple device.
It was a little bit of a okay. We got to wrap this up, but overall, it's a good story. And my biggest thrill of it was the fact that it was set between the moment that he leaves Rose and the moment that he returns. He isn't a time machine, for crying out loud.
The speech she gives him to go see Rose, go try again, I thought was really nice too.
What this book does is it nicely adds a little more depth to that moment, that character, that series, that relationship. It gives a little bit more to season 1, to series 1.
Absolutely. I give it high praise.
I do
I'd
too.
recommend it.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I loved the fact that they were able to shoehorn that in. Because that was another nice thing with the way the slow reveals came, is that it was just an adventure with the Ninth Doctor, but he kept mentioning Rose, and you're like, well, how are you going to do that?
How does that work?
And then they told you how it was going to work. I was like, oh, clever. Clever boy.
Anything else about the Beast of Babylon?
I think so. These are going to be short reviews.
I kind of feel like we're shortchanging it, but
There's not much else to talk
it's
about.
a short ebook.
40 pages.
40 pages. And enjoyable. No space buffalo.
No
Still no
space
space
buffalo. Who's the Harambe? Harambe? Who's the Babylonian king? Okay, never mind. We've established that history is not our strong suit. I'm just going to drop my line of inquiry and move on because I'm just curious to know how to pronounce it. This is all I wanted to know. So. Keith, Google that.
I'm trying to find the name.
I've heard the
you
name.
were a preacher's kid. You should know this story.
That's why I'm it's not that I'm sitting here because I don't know.
No, he was
I'm reaching to the recesses of my brain.
Hammurabi?
Yeah, that one.
That's closer.
Hammurabi? Hammurabi.
It's like Hammurabi or something
Hammurabi?
like that, but it's by Hammurabi. I think it's right. I think
It's not
right.
Harambe.
That's the closest. That's the closest. Well, it seems like there's an added syllable in there.
Harambe! That's another celebration.
Knows right.
Let's put an R before the M's.
Doug Phil, how do you pronounce that name?
Yeah. Somebody smarter than us, write in and tell us how that's...
It's right there in the recesses of my brain because I have heard it in theological discussions. Nope, it's not coming.
Well, let's move on to the mystery of... What is it? Sorry. The mystery of the haunted cottage.
Dun, 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 dun.
When the TARDIS lands on a planet that looks identical to Earth, the 10th Doctor and Martha are amazed to find it packed with fictional characters from her childhood. But who has the power to create an entire world out of books, and why? The Doctor and Martha must solve the mystery before their story ends.
Dun, dun, dun.
I don't know if I can give it that strong, but it was really enjoyable.
I liked it.
I liked it a lot. All right, next one. No, we're all at a loss. I'll tell you, reading this one, it made me realize that somebody, at least one of these authors, is a fan. I got the impression that somebody is a fan, especially when you make mention of the land of fiction and the fact
Several mentions
the
of it.
fact that the 10th or the Doctor. Excuse me. The Doctor makes reference to the fact that he'd been there before, but it wasn't like this. It was different. It was, it was its own pocket universe. There was something else in there that was brought up. It was a name drop that I thought, this person really is cleverly dropping some breadcrumbs, but not necessarily, the fan service.
Well, she had a lot of it right from the setting and the. There was even a kind of don't forget about Martha's unrequited love, for the Doctor bit, which I thought was funny. Which was
also nice he wasn't continually pining after Rose.
Yeah. So it's obviously set a little bit later in the season. But, it was not. First of all, it was nice to see Martha back. I'm always glad when we get the
They seem to really use Martha a lot.
It's
in his range.
almost like, you know, I in a way I kind of feel that Martha is the, you know, the fiction version of a Big Finish companion, where maybe they kind of decided she didn't necessarily get she got the bum rap on TV, so we're going to build her up a little bit in the books and make her, other than the story of Martha, which we won't talk about, but we're going to make her a little more awesome, because they've nailed it, and it's so good with all that stuff. But there was the Land of Fiction reference, and then there was something else.
I can't remember what the other reference was.
And I loved the. It was very Scooby-Doo references, but I liked how initially I was kind of like, oh, we're doing a fiction thing again, okay, and I kept going, but they gave me just enough of that to go, this is what we're doing, but this is how we're doing it.
Right.
It's like, okay, cool.
The how is what made it what made it pay off.
And I loved the fact that they went, okay, so we went down into the tunnel, and then, you know, we went down the thing, and the pirates, and, well, nobody ever goes down here because it's not integral to the plot, so there's nothing there. It's literally nothing. And I was like, oh, what a cool idea. I mean, I thought that was really fun, and I loved the battling.
I really enjoyed the running and the constant changing of going through her memory.
Yeah, going through her memories and the sparkly vampire. Don't judge me.
That was a great moment.
And I think that was the other fan moment, was the fact that he referenced how boring it would be to run down the same hallway. Is this what that was this one? And I thought, oh, there's another meta reference there as well. I never imagined how boring it would be running down the same hallway, or something to that effect.
Something to that effect was.
I like the villain. The villain
was enjoyable.
That was cool. He simply had just kind of outgrown his existence and was lonely. I mean, that's when you dig down to the core of this, the villain isn't really a mustache twirling villain, although he sometimes comes across as the mustache twirling villain because of the
setting he's in.
Exactly, the setting he's in. But I love the idea, the fact that it's really just kind of an entity that's outgrown its existence. I thought that was kind of clever. And taking on the different forms and the Rapunzel. There was a quick Disney Tangled reference in there as well that I appreciated.
Oh, it's Rapunzel. Tell her I said hi. Is he a prince?
Well,
he's the doctor.
That was a mind robber.
Yeah, that was another mind robber.
Yeah, but Martha makes the comment of something that she says, and she's
I love Tangled.
Apparently not the Disney version because it's a little bit different.
And I like the stuff with Dracula.
Yeah, that was cool. Dracula
was
climbing up
trying
the
to
side.
bite me.
Although this Dracula was more of the Christopher Lee Dracula, because he had a mustache and he was a little more, a little less universal Dracula, a little more novel or
Bela Lugosi.
Yeah, a little
George
less
Hamilton.
a little more Christopher Lee, a little more Hammer horror film Dracula, in my mind anyway.
That was overall a fairly enjoyable story.
Another one that I think, and probably because it again, we're dealing with a short story, sort of felt like it wrapped itself up quickly. It almost had a MacGuffin that was, or wasn't even a MacGuffin. It even had a resolution that was just kind of, it's there. Let's tie this up real nicely and move on. It seems to be the nature of a lot of these short stories, but you can only build so much story within 40
and
some
I liked
pages.
how they did it of turning the pages on.
That's a good
on the bad guy, and
here, go through my memories. And,
that's a nice. I always kind of enjoy when they use the Doctor's mind like that to kind of defeat the enemy.
And it was cool that Martha, because she's the one that stepped out first, is the reason
they
why
gave us a good explanation.
Why she's there in this dilemma, and he can only focus his energy on one mind at a time. So that's why nothing that the Doctor had experienced had shown up yet, until the Doctor turns the tide on him and is able to use his mind. That was cool. It was neat.
I like the voices too. I thought David Tennant really sounded. Or the Doctor really sounded like David Tennant.
Really well.
Yeah, and the first one as well. I heard Eccleston in my head when I was reading those out loud, and I heard Martha. So it was, I think, kind of across the board, these have all been pretty solid entries. From any of the, I'm tipping my hand, I guess, but from any of these stories, I didn't get a first or fifth Doctor
No.
It's an ebook vibe for many of them.
We just feel like we've got the wrong doctor. Yeah, I would agree.
Well, should we move on to Nothing O'Clock?
Yes, please.
Hang on.
I sense the horn coming.
No.
Can I read my synopses?
No.
It's kind of lengthy.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. I can't.
Thousands of
Hammurabi.
Hammurabi. That's it.
I
I knew it was Abi.
Sorry, I Googled it. I was curious.
Hammurabi.
Hammurabi.
Okay, never mind, Phil.
Yeah, there we go.
We got it, Phil.
I don't need smart people. I have the internet.
Hammurabi.
Nothing O'Clock.
Qumri.
Thousands of years ago, the Time Lords built a prison for the kin. They made it utterly impregnable and unreachable. As long as the Time Lords existed, the kin would be trapped forever, and the universe would be safe. They had planned for everything that is other than the Time War and the fall of Gallifrey. Now the kin are free again, and there's only one Time Lord left in the universe. Who can stop them?
Dun, dun, dun.
I concur with that. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this one.
Such a great premise right off the bat. We get that in the prologue, that there's this prison and they're dangerous, and as long as the Time Lords are around, the prison would stand forever. And right off the bat, it's like, uh-oh. I know where this is going.
I think one of the things that helps this is the fact that Gaiman's written for the show already, twice. And so he already knows the show
right.
so
this was
well.
Neil Gaiman.
Yeah,
that's
so
true.
And the 11th Doctor so well that it totally fits with this era. And although I would kind of agree it is with Holly that is a bit 10th Doctor-ish to take them back to before the dawn of time, before time even starts, to dispatch of them. It felt that aspect of it did feel a little bit like his predecessor.
Yeah.
And Amy, a little one-dimensional, but those were my only small.
I think
niggles
Amy
with
is
it.
okay one-dimensionally in this one because you get the impression. I mean, other than her
It
pining
sounds
after
like
Rory
they're
a little too much for being
heading back
as
to go
early.
see Rory at that point, anyways.
But I kind of like the idea that Amy was just kind of the link that needed to be there in order to. I mean, she's a nugget of the story. Is really all she is, and it's
She really
I like
almost
that.
is downgraded from true companion status, really.
Yeah.
It's very much a book that focuses on the Doctor. And I think, as you pointed, that that's Neil Gaiman's strength is writing for the 11th Doctor because it's a voice that he's familiar with. And so it very much became an 11th Doctor story, and Amy was just kind of there's the window dressing. And I was okay with it. I agree with Chrissy. I think she pined for Rory a little too much, was a little too one-dimensional.
Which I kind of got I can kind of hand wave that and excuse that in the sense of I get the impression this takes place right before Vampires of Venice. So she just made the move on the Doctor, and now he's taking her back, and she feels dejected by the Doctor, and so he's trying to fix things.
Sure,
by getting
I can
her to
buy that.
Rory.
Yeah,
And so
I
that's
agree.
why kind of I just feel dejected by my childhood best friend. I want my boyfriend to make me feel better.
Yeah, I can buy that.
I'll buy that too.
That's the only way I could kind of fix it.
But it also comes back to the fact that, the story's not about her.
It's true.
It's about the Doctor. This is definitely one that I felt more than the others nailed the imagery of the show. That you could have done anything. You've got a book. You've got a blank piece of paper. You could have given me an alien with 6 heads and 5 eyes and drool, and you could have given me a snake creature. You can give me an anthropomorphized. No, you gave me a thing wearing a bunny rabbit mask.
Yeah.
That's something the show would have done.
Yeah.
Well, because when you're painting, like you said, you got the blank page. You can paint that canvas almost as far as the imagination can stretch. And to go something that simplistic really felt in vain of this.
And it was
Matt Smith era.
effective.
Yeah,
it was
it was
almost
creepy.
it was almost creepier than what we'd gotten in the previous 2 stories with getting an entity that was what this thing was. That it was it was a Donnie Darko kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was just giant rabbit thing there, and then later there was a cat thing there,
And then a wolf.
and then later Queen thing, or Margaret Thatcher. Who was the
Margaret
Margaret
Thatcher,
Thatcher thing?
yeah.
You know, that to me was just an added level.
Well, even
of,
had an Amy thing at one time.
yeah, an Amy thing. It was just
it's very much that vein of what we're seeing isn't what actually is there.
Yeah,
that
right.
thing behind your eye that you can't quite see.
and playing with the idea of a perception filter or what.
Yeah,
it is.
it's-
Or that your
very-
mind sees what it wants to see and not necessarily what's really there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's season 5 all over the place.
I think my.
Go ahead.
No, you were.
I didn't like that the little girl died. Now technically she didn't because we reset everything.
Which.
So I was okay with that then at
It's
the end.
actually, if you think about it, is a bit reset the universe, Matt Smith type thing to do anyway. So
Yeah.
let the Doctor thing to do anyway.
Again, season 5.
I
I mean, I don't have a problem with people dying in Doctor Who, but it's like, oh, children are off limits, Gaiman. You're not allowed to go there. But he fixed it, so I was like, okay.
I'm of two minds as far as the premise of this goes, though. I love the idea of using a loophole, especially to get around the Shadow Proclamation, as to how you could take over a planet. And it's almost a legal. It's almost a legal way to take over a planet, and then I mean they
Too
were
bad
basically
they
they weren't going to
didn't think of
kill.
this.
Well, they obviously were killing people, but they weren't going to commit genocide on the human race. They were going to shovel them off to their own reservations.
Let them
and
die on
whatnot.
their own.
Let them die off on their own.
And let's be honest, of all of the level 5 planets out there, only humanity would have gone, yeah,
Money.
okay.
So I love that premise, but the idea that you could feasibly pull that off, because when the police station's lease went up, that's when I think it like pushed it a little too far, because I don't think you could purchase up every conceivable property
In that quick of a...
well, not even in that quick of a fashion. I think even if you spanned it over thousands of years, I just don't think that it would feasibly done, because there's always going to be that one stopping block. The police station is, it worked. It was the best way to realistically, by saying it was a lease and they didn't just buy the police. The police didn't just sell their station, because you can't do that. But a lease running up on a building or being sold out from underneath a governmental department, that might work in the UK. That wouldn't happen in the United States,
No.
because for the most part, we don't
Usually.
lease our buildings from somebody else, because it's kind of a conflict as far as putting government offices somewhere. Although the state of Kansas is really trying hard to do this, but you really try to put your offices in a piece of building you already own, so that there's equity in the building, or equity in the property, and you don't have anything that can exert external control over a governmental property or a governmental
That's how
department.
it's supposed to work.
But see, but eventually you would run into that issue, and I had a problem.
I have
with
less
that.
problem with that, because if you bought up all the houses, and then you bought up the hotel, and then at some point you're going to get control of the banks. And once you get control of the banks, you get control of the bank loans, and so that gives you control of the wider reaching the leases do. Well, it's because you're the landlord. You can control that. I have less problem with that than old man Johnson, who lives down the lane, and he's not moving out for nobody know how. That guy would have stuck around.
That guy would have stuck around.
That,
You're
that
right.
to me
You're right.
is a bigger issue than the
But then
police
again, if you
station's
bought up
lease
the
running.
banks and the governments, then you just use eminent domain.
Eminent
and you
domain,
still
and
got
you get 'em out.
legality of it. So I like to say, I'm of two minds of the premise of it. It's just it was really hard for me to give up the idea that could possibly get to such a scale that you would have bought the entire planet. But kudos for the idea.
It's almost kind of a Douglas Adams
a bit,
idea,
yeah.
too, you know,
Without the funny.
without the funny. just the creepy. What else did I like about this one? There were a couple of things that I wanted to point out. I really liked...
It's funny you brought up the Donnie Darko mask, because that was the first thing I thought.
Yeah.
When
I haven't even seen the
Was
movie
that-
yet. That's
was
the
that
first
bunny?
thing I thought of. Was,
it was that scary bunny.
another one that I felt like the resolution was a little rushed. But again, 40 pages.
Well, here's the thing, though. This is the one that I felt the least rushed, because this one had a... Well, I guess the Condage one had this as well, but this had that almost poignant finale that had
Yeah.
it had to go there. It had to go.
It
there.
was the best developed lead up to that rushed ending.
There seems to be other options for the previous two stories. This seems to be the only way out of this one. So knowing that was the ultimate point, it didn't feel rushed because it was like I just knew we were going to get to this point.
Yeah.
I knew point Z was coming eventually. So
and I like the fact that he was like, "Let's go get in the TARDIS," and the doctor's like, "Okay." Like, saw through that right off the bat.
This was a little predictable as well, because I knew that wasn't really aiming that was.
And I don't think Gaiman was really trying to keep that from us either.
I
think that was,
but it didn't feel necessary in the narrative of the story. Either.
Well, but I think that was the let's show you how clever the doctor is, that he knows it, and we're being let in on that he knows it.
I absolutely love the moment where he does whatever he does to make it actual size, and Amy goes, "It's not bigger on the inside."
Oh, when he puts the office hologram in the office.
I got the impression, because she was able to stick her face through it. It must have been some hologram.
Yeah.
He changed the desktop just slightly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was neat.
That was a cool bit, too. You could also almost see a Peanuts thing there with the TARDIS landing and him putting out the doctor is in tab off the side of the thing.
So far of the three, this was probably my favorite. But I think just because it was a solid Neil Gaiman story, and I think the storytelling was the best part of this, and maybe it's because there weren't any, you didn't feel the need for any seclusion or hiding or double bluffs or anything like that. It just kind of laid out and played a nice little story. There's a little bit of mystery involved there as well, but it wasn't the driving point of the story.
Yeah.
The story was really kind of just telling the characterization of the Doctor. As you
it was
pointed out
straightforward.
Also, I think, again, with the exception of some Amy moments, I think the voices were there. I think, I felt like Gaiman had the voice, although, like you said, he's already worked twice in Matt Smith's era. Keith mentioned he's already worked twice in Matt Smith's era, so he already has a feel for
and
this Doctor.
I went into this story with the expectations, knowing he wrote two stories already, and so he knows what he's doing, let's deliver, and I think he did.
I think so, yeah.
Shall we move on to Lights Out?
Lights Out.
They did not release a synopsis for Lights Out.
Yes, so we'll jump right into Lights Out.
Dun, dun, dun!
Yeah, I think...
I liked this one the best.
Did you like this one the best?
I like this one a lot, too.
This would be my second favorite of the four books that we've reviewing. And I think Chrissy says it all in her review of this, as far as my point, is I went into this thinking there's not going to be... When you wrote this book, you did not know much about the 12th Doctor. How are you going to make it feel? And it does almost by referencing the eyebrows, and the eyebrow jokes were wonderful. They were fantastic. I really felt like that was how you were going to get the only flavor of the 12th Doctor you could. So the cleverness of putting this into first-person point of view was really well done, because it is a stranger meeting this person for the first time. So it kind of puts us in those shoes already, so that the Doctor doesn't necessarily have to be the 12th Doctor we've seen on screen now for an entire 12 episode run up to this point. You could put a little bit of a different spin on it because it is also a different perspective.
Yeah.
I had no problem thinking this is the 12th Doctor throughout the entire thing. I thought she did a pretty good job capturing the voice, especially of where the time frame would be for him at this point.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as they mentioned coffee, and then the Doctor shows up, I'm like, oh, that's where he went to go get the coffee. Very clever. And so knowing he's so fresh off Regeneration, and I think he's very curt through a lot of it, but then eventually opens up and shows that softer side when they're on their ship together. But the whole investigation felt very much like the 12th Doctor doing all of these things for me.
The Doctor, not so much, he does more in the series, but the whole narrative of the Doctor, he kind of really thinks out loud as he goes. And I really felt like he was doing that here.
He really
and so
did.
I kind of liked that aspect of it. And when I say I went into the impression that you know nothing about this, and I was very comfortable with the idea of it being from another perspective. But you're right; there was enough.
She didn't.
There
she
was
had-
enough
yeah.
research or enough
at least had read the
knowledge
scripts
for
and
knowledge,
stuff, yeah.
to kind of get a feel for the 12th Doctor.
Because even like when he's investigating and she's suggesting things like this scientist who ends up not being actually there, and he's just ignoring her. That's totally something 12 would do. Is just somebody putting out ideas. If he's not going to insult them, he's just going to ignore them.
I love that he set him up for it, too. That he completely explained the role of the companion is to basically tell me how brilliant I am, say something
And ask
occasionally,
questions,
ask
too.
questions that I already know the answers to, and I will explain as we go along if need be, and maybe you'll help me think of something, but I wouldn't plan on it. And it's just like, yep. That's exactly it. Structurally, this was such a cool way of putting this together. We've got this thing and this creature, and then we keep getting these little dollops of his backstory, which I kept kind of thinking, well, why are you giving me all this? Let's get to the story. Let's get to the story. When's the Doctor show up? And then we get to the space station and the coffee, and he has a nightmare. I was like, okay, come on, get to. And then the Doctor's in line getting coffee, and I went, oh, that's when this takes place. That's so cool.
Did the introduction of the 12th Doctor feel very 12th Doctor too?
Yeah.
He's not there, then he is.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of neat.
Boom, boom, there he was, out of nowhere. And then, the murder and the Doctor trying to a body and, immediately launching into that mode. But then to follow that up with the reveal that you're the suspect, that you are
And
the
then he
person.
figured it out
This is
so long ago.
Yeah. I just went, what? Yeah. And then they give me the rest of the backstory, and I went, oh, wow. I really, really liked this one. I thought it was so cool.
And then it gets 1,000 points for the Benton reference.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was
what's
really
his
enjoying
name?
this.
Benton?
Yeah.
He was talking about the different coffees.
Best coffee ever. Benton.
Unit HQ. Yes.
So now we know that while it may have been some of the ladies' jobs to go and fetch coffee,
It was Benton's job.
it was
to make
Benton's
it.
job
Yes.
to make the coffee.
Yes.
And he did it well. And we can just put that as yet another tick mark in the why we love Benton.
And then it wasn't just some other random unit person or Yates or the Brig. It was just, I think, also coming on the heels of Dark Water and Death in Heaven and the Brig stuff in Death in Heaven, that the unit reference is a nice touch.
Yeah. So you really had to be on cloud nine through most of this.
I do love coffee.
All of the coffee.
I walked in on Thursday and I said, "Have you read Lights Out yet?" And he says, "No, maybe you just started. I couldn't remember what
I think
it
I
was."
had just purchased it. No, I was going to purchase it.
Yeah,
that
that's
night.
right, because you were just finishing the one prior. And I said, "Oh, you're going to like this one." I said, "I can't tell you why, but as soon as you see what I'm talking about, you'll know what I'm referring
And
to."
as soon as I started the story, I was like, "Yep, I know what he's talking about."
Well, and it just kept going. It was a coffee merchant. And I went, oh, Keith's going to love this. Oh, and I'm on my run, and I've got a hole full of beans. Okay, there we go. Oh, and I'm
Totally
going
what
to the
coffee would do in the future.
I'm going
to
to
the coffee shop.
I'm going to the coffee space station. What?
I want to visit there.
I'm flipping back, going Holly Black. No, not related to Keith. I mean, just
Long lost relative.
it doesn't say
Coffee.
it doesn't say Miles on the cover of this book. I keep reading, and then I'm going to go down to the coffee shop and get some coffee and coffee, and then what was the Balfanakis? The Grask. The Grask jumping
Yeah, it was
on the
the Grask.
floor and
Licking it up.
coffee.
Is it a grass?
It was a Grask, not a Balfanakis.
Okay,
They're
yeah.
played by the same actor in the which is what
Right,
made me
right,
think of that. But yeah, it was a Grask. And points for that. I just. Ooh,
Are you sure it was a grass? I thought it was whatever Balfanakis' species was.
No, it is a Grask.
Okay. I just remembered that wrong. I can't even remember what his species is.
I can't remember his.
I don't think I ever knew his species. Yep, Grask.
Okay.
Last cup of coffee.
Well, then what did I read recently that had the other Vinvakti? That's what it is. Vinvaki. what was it I read recently that had a Vinfaki reference?
I don't know. I don't think I read it.
I don't think I did either.
Anyway, I've been reading a lot of stuff, so trying to catch up with my reading, Josh.
I don't know about you. The build up to that moment that we've introduced the Doctor now, and this guy knows it.
And then they run out of coffee.
And then and the last bean tumbles down the chute.
We're out of coffee.
And it's like the airplane moment. Is there anything you're not telling us? Yes, we're also out of coffee. And that's when everybody panics and somebody gets murdered. It's the last cup of coffee. And she stands there. We're out of coffee. And I just thought...
It's like it's such an unfathomable thing.
And keep in mind, I don't drink coffee. I don't like it. I don't care for it. It doesn't faze me at all. But the way that whole thing was built and played out, getting to that moment, we're out of coffee. And I felt like, oh, it's going to hit the fan now. Keith is just going to be so upset by this book. Maybe I liked it way too much because of that personal connection. I don't know. But the whole thing was just full of those kinds of, oh, this is awesome. What are you going to do about the coffee?
I think this one is tied with Nothing O'Clock for my favorites of all of the ebooks.
The ending of this one, again, another one of those ones that I think the author took a chance.
Yeah.
I think that the author... This is one that I didn't see the end point. I had no idea how we were going to get out of this.
Well, I didn't see the reveal.
The Doctor's an
until
accessory
the
to
point.
murder, although he didn't really kill anybody, but he's an accessory. And you wonder what could possibly... Is it 51? Is that what his name was? What he ended up started calling him was 51?
I think so.
Yeah, 51, 54.
You don't know where
50-something.
You don't know where this possibly could go, and we still don't necessarily know if the end is a success, because it really kind of left it as a, you decide, or we'll leave this up to you, or,
Yeah.
and so that was quite an interesting way to go with the story and kind of just leave it there.
And I like the
but I
idea
appreciated that.
of the coffee being the catalyst from the beginning to the end. It was a nice time. It wasn't just the setting, that it played a vital role into it.
That was the other thing, is the hunting for the adrenaline and the stimulus of it. And it was just like,
and then
wow,
the
way to bring
overload of
this in.
adrenaline at the end is what eventually does it. Very nice.
Yeah, it was. As he's plummeting into a sun.
Yep. Although I don't know why, but maybe because I knew it was a woman writing it. When I initially started reading it, I heard I thought 51 was a female. I don't know why.
And you know what? It's not clear.
It's not clear.
It could, in your mind, either be either or, because
I mean,
I don't think they ever make a reference to
it.
he,
Talks
she
about
yet.
the girl that it kind of had a crush on.
Yeah.
But that could still
Was
be
that even a
either
reference to a girl? Because I thought he just kept saying the number. I don't know that they ever used a pronoun.
I don't think they ever did use pronouns, but I liked the fact that it was left to be kind of androgynous, especially being that it was an
especially
alien
considering
species.
where the story ends
even
up
if
going.
even if they did leave a pronoun, or even did utilize a program for the one that
I think they called it her because they talked about she had two mouths.
But that doesn't.
Yeah.
I think I remember that
I think
line
you're
now.
right. Yeah, but that doesn't matter, because that doesn't.
still-
I mean, it could have been a female that was
Yeah.
interested. So I hadn't thought. In my mind, from the very beginning, it was a guy, but from the point when you kept saying her, in fact, you slipped up a couple times, even after we had said he. You were saying her, and it was when
I don't know why it
When you
was.
first said that, I thought, I wonder if in Keith's mind it was a girl.
It must have been, which is kind of bizarre for me because it normally isn't.
I liked that aspect of it. I thought it was really cool.
And
that's an example of giving me a little more information about this character up front, so that I'm not waylaid in the middle of the story going, what do you mean this thing's an alien? I didn't get that from... Oh, but you dolled it out to me enough during the course of this that it was fairly obvious. I was like, okay, cool.
Maybe because I knew... I assumed this person was taking the role of companion at some point. And so, by default, and for the most part... I know,
but
but
we'll let you put it right there.
maybe that's why. I don't know.
He's got a valid point. I mean...
There's a handful literally a male companion.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Statistically speaking, the doctor
The odds
prefers
are more
his
than my
companions to
ratio is
be,
quite higher female.
human and
not saying
female.
that's right.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Let's wrap this show up by talking about the newly formed schedule for January. Chris, you kind of spoiled a little bit of it.
Dun dun dun. Am I allowed to dun 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 my own schedule?
Sure, why not?
Dun dun dun.
I'm excited about your
I'm
schedule.
excited by it.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's on it, but I'm excited about it.
You haven't looked?
No, I told you earlier I hadn't looked at your schedule yet.
Oh. Dun dun
I
dun.
now know that the Mara stories
The
are
Mara
in
stories
there.
are-
I do. Here's what I do know about it. I do know that we were doing a First Doctor non-Doctor related story, and I did know that you were putting the Mara stories on sometime this year, and then both that and the fact that Chrissy said, "I'm glad to see you got the Mara schedules on there coming up."
Well, this is going to seem like kind of a letdown then, because you know pretty much January. That's pretty much it.
Right there.
But first, we have to finish up 2014. We're not quite done with the old girl yet. So we're going to have our Christmas special for Friday Night Who on the 26th, which is the next Doctor. Finish out with a David Tennant story this year. And then our review the following, or that Sunday, Christmas weekend. I can still call it Christmas weekend, can't I?
Yes.
It's still technically Christmas weekend,
Quite all
isn't
right,
it?
There, Sean.
We will be reviewing
Sean.
Last Christmas.
It's okay, Keith.
Peter
Okay.
Capaldi.
All
It's
right,
okay.
let's go.
And
No,
then-
it's not. Go ahead.
Then we get into 2015. And we're going to open on the 2nd of January with the 5th Doctor story, Kinda, for Friday Night Who. So if you do not have that, you should run out immediately and purchase it or obtain a copy, because you want to be able to follow along. And then we're going to do 2 Big Finish audios. So that means you've technically got 2 weeks. You can start one now if you like. But also 5th Doctor audios. We're going to do number 44, Creatures of Beauty, and number 66, The Game. And just to make things interesting based on when the Mara stories are set, these are not Perry and Aramim 5th Doctor stories. This is, I believe, Tegan in one and Turlough in the other, if I remember correctly. So just to mix it up, because we haven't had a 5th Doctor outside of... I feel like we could step away from Perry and Aramim for a bit, and we'll go back to them later.
If I remember, I think Nissa returned.
Or maybe it's Nissa. Maybe
Nissa
it's Nissa and Turlough, I think, maybe in opposite ones. But so we have that. And then on the 9th, we're going to do the 2nd Mara story, Snake Dance, also with Peter Davidson. And then our show, number 221, is an adversary archive on the Mara, and we will tackle both stories and review them both in that one, Kinda and Snake Dance. On the 16th of January, we'll get Victory of the Daleks with Matt Smith, because I'm jonesing for some more Paul. So we're going to start the 8th Doctor adventures and do the first 2 of the Big Finish 8th Doctor line, which happen to, Glenn, be Blood of the Daleks and Blood of the Daleks Part 2.
Ah, yay!
That's
So
a barter.
you'll get a little...
Double dose of Daleks.
You'll get a Victory of the Daleks on Friday Night Who, and then you'll get some Daleks in the Big Finish area. And then this is the part you're not going to be excited about. On the 23rd, the Censor Rights is on the schedule.
Why do you think I'm so sullied on the
You've commented
Censor?
several times that you're
I
not
told
looking
you it's
forward
just
to that.
no.
one.
I told you it was just kind of a boring story. There's
Well,
not
we'll
much-
find out.
There's not much there.
There's
but
not, well, 6
I don't-
parts of
it's,
it.
It's
so.
not a twin to limb or anything. It's just I haven't been dreading reviewing this one. It's just I haven't been all that excited about doing it either. So
Yay, Censor Rights!
I've been looking forward to it.
So we'll do the first 3 because it's a long one. So we'll do parts 1, 2, and 3 for Friday Night on the 23rd. And that week, episode number 213 is when we do Behind the Doctor. And for those of you that maybe didn't get in the know...
behind the Doctor,
Beyond.
Beyond the Doctor is what it... Yeah. What we decided to do, if you remember back in the... This is 2 years ago now, isn't that weird? For the 50th, we did each month a kind of lead up to the 50th, and we had the First Doctor where we did a comic and an ebook and a this, and where we did all that kind of cool stuff. And then the last year, we did the ebooks until the new season came along.
Doctor got away.
But, we hit an ebook each time for that. And so we decided we thought we'd do something similar to that. But what we've always been talking about is, what were they in other than Doctor Who? So we are going to watch Carry On Sergeant, which is a film that stars William Hartnell. And it's before he was
I think
the
it's his
Doctor,
role
right?
in that, isn't it? That got him.
I believe
Dr.
that.
Yeah,
Who.
this is what he's
That's what
most
got him
known for,
noticed.
other than.
I think I remember
Doctor.
seeing in the vault that Verity told William that.
It might have even been part of Adventure in Time and Space and Time.
And they didn't make. They didn't
Yeah, well,
mention
he's
him
played
in
this
it.
type of character
Yeah.
before too. But
Well, and I think in Adventure in Space and Time, it's the comment is made that he's searching out a role different than he has been doing, which
Yeah.
were comedy roles. So
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. I mean, I don't specifically
On the
say.
oh, I know. I
Sergeant.
think it was the reverse because he was looking because he's always played the rough, gruff, and
Oh, that's
the
what
drill
you're right.
sergeant.
That's
He was
what it
looking
was.
for something.
He was looking for something a little lighter or different than the
and that's why
army
he
roles
did
had
carry
been
on
playing.
sergeant,
That's
even
right.
though it was still an army role.
That's
But
right.
anyway, so it's a comedy, and it's got William Hartnell, and obviously there's a sergeant. So we'll find out about that, and we'll do a whole episode just on that, which I think will be interesting and probably a little shorter than what you're accustomed to, but who knows? And then we'll finish up on the 30th of January. We'll finish up the Sensorites with parts 4 through 6, and then we will review the Sensorites and Big Finish number 85, Red, which is another Fifth Doctor, or no, it's the Seventh Doctor. It's a Seventh Doctor story. So a lot of 1 and 5 in the first month, but and then con season starts for us. We'll have Galley in February, and then Planet Comic-Con in March, and so we're kind of still feeling our way through that, trying to figure out exactly how we're going to do some of that. But I understand from the gang here that Engines of War is apparently we really ought to get on that. So if I was a betting man, I would say you could probably look for that to be on the schedule sometime mid-February. If you haven't picked up your book copy yet, you may want to think about doing that.
All right. Is there anything else we need to do before we close this one out this week?
Thank you to everybody who continues to support us, whether monetarily through Patreon or just by tuning in and listening, or somebody who writes in feedback or likes our Facebook page. We hope you're enjoying the Advent calendar.
Good job with that.
Thanks. It's coming along. Some days are better than others.
You noticed we didn't post, though, a couple days ago?
It was the 7th, wasn't it?
I think it was the 7th day
thought-
when we started doing our 12 Days of Christmas one. And I think we missed 7.
one?
I think we missed 7.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
I'll have to go back and check.
Yeah. We'll work on that, crew.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If not, we'll go post something. We'll retroactively post a 7-something for something if we missed it.
All right. If that's going to do it for this week, until next week, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing you.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.